What is going on, all-terrain nation? Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or this Bronco Santa next to me, whatever he drives, this is your all-terrain nation, and I am fired up. What's going on, Tim?
Not much, Dave. How are you? And by the way, props on that intro song, man. I love it. It gets me pumped up and ready to jump into here.
Hey, cheers, buddy.
I like it. I'm glad you're not sharing that with the Monday Night Bronco talk show.
No. This is the main show. What it's going to be. This is going to be the main show. You just wait, Bronco people. The happy hour will overtake you. But we have a good show tonight. And speaking of good show, you can't have a good show without certain people in the house. You know, Tim. I mean, we've got royalty, if it were. I mean, we've got the man, the myth, the guy that will build your house within minutes.
Nope.
We've got Mr. Bronco Wild Outdoors. What is going on, Dwayne?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Absolutely.
No hat. What's up?
I know, man. Something's wrong.
No fire behind me or anything. Yeah. So minutes, not minutes, Dave, but hours. We can build it in 106.5 hours.
That's right,
that is
man.
the record. Dwayne, what is your official record for building a house?
Well, that was my personal one, 106. But there was other builders that built, a little bit less time, I think, just like under 100. But it was a lot smaller house. The last house we did that we broke the record on, our other record, was 4,300 square feet.
That's a big house.
That's a big house.
Yeah, and that was ready to go. Walls painted.
It's done, and believe it or not, the punch list, what the things that have to be tidied up and adjusted and whatnot and touched up, it was no bigger than a traditional deal. So, man, that production company had it down to a science.
Well, speaking of science.
Did you see Bronco 78's comment right there? Check it out. It's pretty funny.
I'm only 3 years into a remodel. That's crazy, man. Yeah. But we got a good show tonight. Dwayne, last night, the ladies took over, man, and they did an excellent job. But I felt like that they needed we needed some men in there, just a little bit to kind of, poke the bear a little bit. But no, seriously, I was very happy. Kelly did an awesome job. Becky there did an awesome job. And of course we had Miss Shelby on here and Amy and all the others on here, which we were going to talk to Shelby down the road, more of a personal talk about her relationship with Ford and the Rebel Rally down the road. So that'll be fun. So 3 years into a remodel, Bronco 78. That's all right. I started a remodel on a property I had, and I didn't finish it by the time I sold it. So I did a bathroom, and I just didn't finish it.
Yeah, but he didn't have 300 subcontractors on the job helping either. So
that's true.
It's funny. Projects around my house now. My wife, we just talk about something, and she just turns around and calls a contractor. And doesn't even ask me to do it anymore.
Hey, boys, take over the show, Tim, just for a minute.
Yeah.
So, Tim, tell me.
Yes, sir. Yes.
What are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, I think Dave might have gotten a new vehicle to test drive. And I think he's really interested in talking about that.
Yeah,
and,
I did. I saw something on Instagram, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I saw a little front, like part of the headlight and the fenders. Like, what is this? And, I was honestly trying to figure it out, and I didn't know.
I'll save the big reveal for Dave. But
oh yeah. Did you see? I posted a picture of my youngest daughter learning to drive in the Bronco today. Did you see that?
I saw that. She looked nervous.
And
I don't know if that was just the driving part or if it was mom and dad's Bronco. I'm not sure.
It was all the above. So
all the
biggest
above,
vehicle she's driven, and she said, "Wow, this is so cool." She goes, "It's cooler to drive it than it is to look at it." So I was like, "All right, that's a compliment."
Well, that's good.
Dave's outside. What's up?
I am. Well, hey, I got a lot of vehicles in here. I wanted to kind of show. All right. Well, of course, the Bronco is back. If you just come for the happy hour, just to let you know, the Bronco's back. We got the old Gladiator over there, and then we got a special guest. We've got somebody visiting for the week, and it's not Grandma. It's a brand new Nissan Frontier. I want to show you guys this real quick. I'm in the rain out here for you guys.
Dave.
This is the kind of content I'm bringing for you.
Hey, Dave.
But, I got the.
Yeah, you might drop off your house Wi-Fi and go over to your cell data.
Good point.
Yeah. All right. So I think Dave will have to. There we go. There he is.
There you.
Oh, there he went.
There you went.
Trucker clock.
Gotta love it.
Well. So your daughter got to drive the Bronco. Now, how long has she been? I'm assuming she's had her learner's permit for a little while.
Yeah, learner's permit. Go ahead, Dave.
No, you guys were talking about something. Yeah, I forgot to turn off the Wi-Fi. So bad me. But I wanted to let you guys know we got reviews coming on the Bronco or the God. I'm so Bronco talk here, but I'm pitting these two against each other, so that should be some fun content. But I wanted to walk you guys around because you guys are not Nissan people, so I was curious why we're doing this a lot. We've got the Pro 4X here. This is Nissan's big bad boy, and I'm curious. Do you guys have any questions about this thing?
Well, actually, I do.
Okay.
MSRP. What's the sticker price on it? And how's it equipped?
From me, but I believe it was $47K.
Okay. So what color is that?
Red.
I was getting ready to say other than red.
I forget what I'm going to do a proper reveal on this thing. And
actually, I like the fender flares, or they're not even, they're, what would you call those?
I don't know what they actually,
just like protective fender edges or something.
You know, whatever Toyota did, we copied it. That's what it's called. But
well, it looks sharp.
No, it's a good looking vehicle, and it's going to be fun to drive. I have the current generation, or the last generation Frontier as a company vehicle. I've owned this exact same vehicle in 2012. I had this exact same layout, except not as new. And but let's open the door real quick. I'm curious to see what it sounds like.
Now, is this a new generation for the Frontier?
This is the 2022 Frontier, and let's see. Let's turn some things on here.
Hey, $20 right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, just pretty nice. Couple things. It's all leather. They don't give you press loans that are not pretty plush. But for this vehicle, let's see, we get sunroof and all those fun things. Nice 9-inch radio in this thing, which is pretty cool. AC, you're getting a rear locker in it, which was nice. It's almost a mini Titan, but it looks way better than a Titan. You're getting a Fender audio in this thing, which is really cool. And yeah, for the like I said, wait. Oh, do I have it?
Hey, Dave, I have a question.
Go ahead, man.
I can't really tell from here, but on the dash above the infotainment screen, is that like a recessed area?
Right here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, I was just looking at it from an angle.
Yeah. Yeah, they've always done a little version of that, but this is a little bit bigger. So I have the sheet in front of me. So let's see if I can read this tiny writing. Let's see. Well, there's the charcoal leather is the color of the interior. I hate this dead air like this, but
that's all right.
It is $44,315 as it sits, which is not today's world for a vehicle. That's not a bad price,
right?
You're getting
you have a rear locker. You mentioned. I mean, that right there is a nice option.
Get a Pro Convenience package and Pro Premium package for $27.90. The Pro I don't know what convenience package is $19.90 and tech package is $999. But MSRP on this thing as $37,240 before all the packages, so not a bad deal. Oh, look, it's Johnny's Car Care Review. Johnny, I thought you were over at the Ford stream, buddy.
What is that above your head? Is that just a standard moonroof, or is it the entire?
No, yeah, it's a outward.
All right, it's a manual. Okay.
Yeah, so we can.
Looky there.
We can get rain inside. That's fun. The seats are pretty interesting in this thing. So they've got this kind of strange stitching to it at Pro 4X in there, which I would have thought they would have done that in a color. But these are what they call their zero gravity seats, and I have to say, Nissan does some of the most comfortable seating I've ever rode in the Titan, which I suggest everybody, even if you're looking for a full-size truck, just give the Titan a look just to sit in the thing. But very comfortable seating. All the layouts of this thing are right where you'd want them, so it's pretty nice. And the package here itself looks pretty cool. See if it pops up. Everything lays out great. The one thing that I will say about this thing is, I'll just show you if it pops up. The cameras they seem like they're from the early 20th century. They're like they're kind of outdated, but overall, I kind of wanted to show that just a little bit before we get too deep into the show. But guys, you look for a review on this coming down the road. Like I said, I plan on pitting this against that because they're relatively price-wise. You might be getting more for this than you are that one. And now, while that one, you get the doors and everything come off, this may be the better deal. So look forward to that.
Dave, I'm willing to bet you can get the doors off the Nissan too without too much trouble.
I have taken the doors off those before, but it's not a factory option.
No.
It's just a little bit of
You
a
can go
alignment
aftermarket
issue when you're done, but you can do it in a weekend.
Well, let me hop off here real quick, and I'm gonna switch right back over to you guys.
All righty.
Good deal.
So I was asking your daughter. I'm assuming he's been driving under a learner's permit for a little while.
Well, yes, she maybe a month now, and she's been driving our Explorer. So it's a little bit smaller vehicle. It's a couple years on it, so it's not that brand new vehicle. But the Bronco, to her, she knows how cool it is. Let's face it. And she was driving it. And yeah, you see that look on her face. She was very serious and concentrating. So it was pretty cool.
Hey guys,
good deal.
Hey, you're back like magic, and it's not raining.
Well, so Dave, one other thing I was going to ask you on the tech, you kind of mentioned it with the camera there. Toyota's taking a lot of crap for their tech kind of being a little outdated and stuff. How do you feel, at least with what you've seen so far in that 22 model?
I will say this is better than the Toyota. We did, me and Kelly did some time last fall in a 22 4Runner, and the 4Runner tech is it's like, it feels 10 years old. The interior of the truck and everything of that SUV is nice, but the tech is what holds it back. And it's pretty dated. Really, the only thing on the Frontier that I would ding it for just right away are those cameras. And it's just Nissan's been in a kind of a slump, and they've needed to affordably remodel some vehicles. So there's a few things they've pinched pennies on, and I think the camera is one of them. But if you're looking at that vehicle, you're probably not looking for a top of the line TRD Pro anyways. And I think it's a better deal than the TRD Pro, but so there's a price point for every vehicle, and Nissan knows their audience pretty well.
Yeah, and I think at a certain point, how good of a backup camera do you need? Do you need high definition? You gonna see the bugs that you're gonna run over, or do you just need to be able to see that there's no obstructions behind you? So I don't know if some of those areas are things that they can, maybe not use a high quality camera,
right,
and save a little bit on cost, not necessarily them something to pass on to the consumer.
First off, Dr. Detroit, thank you for becoming a member. If you guys don't know, membership is like $5 a month. I really try not to ask for too much support here, but that does help us grow. So thank you for that support, sir, and we greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested in it, I know with the cell phones, it's a little tricky, but you can go to our main page and become a member that way. Or if you're on the computer, it's pretty easy, but I do appreciate all the support there. As far as the tech, Tim, no, we live in an HD world now.
No, that's true.
And unfortunately, if you go from your big screen 80-inch TV in your living room into that thing, you're just like, whoa. Yeah. But ultimately, hey man, 310 horsepower. It's the most horsepower in the midsize truck. That thing's a little rocket. New 9-speed transmission in that, which I've tested pretty thorough in the 2000 Titan. So I'm pretty excited to kind of get to my roots a little bit and mess with some Nissan again.
Do you think there's an advantage with the low tech with the chip issues?
I do. Well, they do have some advantages there's certain things they've reused from the last Frontier, because you guys probably don't know, was from 2005 to 2021. They never changed hardly anything in that truck. So there's a few things that are still carryovers. The sunglasses holder in this thing, it's a carryover, and it's very obvious it's a carryover. The cameras that are in those are definitely a carryover. I want to say they got cameras around 17 or 18. So they're somewhat old for cameras and but no, that truck is, I'm telling you, that is especially for people that are looking for fleet vehicles, not the particular Pro 4X, but Nissan does, they have an excellent fleet vehicle. So and they only do V6s. That's it.
Oh,
so
when did they do away with the four cylinder?
4-cylinder went away, I believe, in 20, because they used to have a 4-liter a 4-liter V6, and it was having a little bit of issues passing current emissions standards. So they've went to this 3.8. It's fairly new design, and after they went to that 3.8, they just killed off the 4-cylinder.
Gotcha.
And I think it's the 4-cylinder was okay. It was probably a mileage king though, because that thing would get some mileage. But for like a general contractor truck, the 4-cylinder was great. But once again, Nissan's had a tough time the past couple of years of trying to refresh some models. The new Z just came out. They're talking about that's all over the webs now. Fingers crossed I get my hands on one of those.
Wow.
But even the Z is a kind of a carryover of their 370. The underpinning's been brought to standards, but it's pretty much the same underpinning, but you can get a manual transmission in that car, which seems to be a rarity anymore, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's such an iconic model, the Z. So you'd like to see it live on and get better and better like everything else. So it's pretty cool. Interesting to see it.
Yeah. And you'll see some of that content coming down the road. But Dwayne, you I must say thank you to Becky, seriously, for joining in last night. That was a lot of fun. Kelly's itching. Kelly needs her to go with her to the Bronco off-road.
She was looking at flights today and hotel and everything else and telling me, and I was like, oh, here we go. So hey, that's my
expanding
ticket. So Tim,
Dwayne,
can you go and bring me as a ride along with you so I can go to another one?
Dwayne, I think that's a small penance for you to pay
for a Raptor.
In the big scheme of things. little trip to Austin is not a
it's not that you're right, Tim. That would be a small token, right? Yeah. But it's getting kind of depressing economically. So you think but I'm still going, I'm all in on the Raptor, and it's like, what the heck, we're going, we can't wait. And so yeah, she would have to go, and who knows, maybe there's one there she'll get to drive.
Well, the Raptor is a cool thing, because I think I know somebody, and we'll get to your comments in just a second, guys, but somebody in there was talking about where was it? Raptor being pushed back and stuff. But I think even if times were getting a little tough, that's a collector's vehicle, especially the first year of that thing.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't think long-term collectors, but I think for the first 5 years, people will want those and kind of pay for them a little bit. So I think you could get rid of it pretty easily if need be.
Yeah. So, but to get back to the first part, yeah, Becky would, she said she had fun. She had a great time, and she's looking forward. If you do it again, she's looking forward to it.
Excellent. We will definitely do that again. So Tim, how have you been, man? We haven't got to my schedule's been a little iffy because I've been heavy into softball now, and softball will be wrapping up for a month or so, and then it kicks back in. So we'll get the happy hour schedule going back. But how you been, man? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I've been doing pretty good, staying busy with work and trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my next video. I'm having some inspirational issues, and I think I just need to take the truck and get out on the road.
Sounds like it's camping season for you, buddy.
It is camping season.
It is.
Now, if I can convince the rest of my family, it'll make it a lot easier.
Right. Hey, Dwayne, Dr. Detroit is asking, he says, have you heard anything about your Raptor?
Yeah, I just saw that. So as of last Friday, I had a conversation with my rep over at the dealer. Nope, no build date, no news, no anything.
Sometimes no news is good news, though.
Yeah, I mean, it might be one of those situations I get a call and say, how fast can you get here? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this one's strange. The first reservation turned into an order. The mall crawler no more, my 21.
That's
which
right.
I got it dirty last week. You saw the video, right?
I did. I saw some sand on the tires.
Yeah, it's sand. So, but that one, everything was just spot on. And then the 22, it was a little bit, the email was a little bit slower. I don't know if the Raptor is going to be accurate or not, but either way, I haven't heard. There's no build date, and they get to look from the dealer side of things. and it hasn't even been previewed yet, which means, they're getting close to it. So yeah, that's where we're at. So
nice.
No
I meant
news.
need to mention Terrence Moody will be in Nashville all the way from California tomorrow. Terrence, let me know. Terrence, if you get with me privately, I am free the rest of the week and I will personally hand you a t-shirt. So just you get with me and let me know your t-shirt size and we'll hook up and I'll make that happen. And maybe if Kelly lets me bring the Bronco. I may bring the Frontier though, because I need to do some driving with that.
There you go. Get
It's
some
rare that I do
happening.
that. I hate
Dave
driving.
needs permission. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
I heard let me.
We all don't have like 2 Broncos, potentially 3 Broncos, Dwayne.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have a Bronco problem.
Right.
So the Range Rover, I'm telling you, Dave, it's got your name written all over it. I'll deliver it.
No, not at all, man. I've got a lot of issues, and there's not a need for another one.
I hear you.
What
year I got 99 problems, and a Range Rover ain't one.
Yeah. I'm curious, Dwayne, since you bring that up, could you give us some history on that thing? How did you guys get it, and what's going on? What has been your kind of ride with this thing?
Yeah, so it's been great. There's only been one issue with it. We had a radiator issue, had a little leak in it. It wasn't anything huge, but we weren't going to have it dripping anything. So it's been great. It's a hot rod. It's 5-liter supercharged. I think it's 510 or 15 horsepower.
Oh, that's all.
It will move. It will move. It came from Palm Beach Range Rover, and it ended up in our area. And it was one of those things very short-lived with the first owner, and something happened, and we picked it up.
Nice.
When you can get $100,000 vehicle for a lot less.
That's the great thing about Range Rover is let the first person take the ding on
$30,000 hit.
Yeah. So,
but then the cool thing, it seems to be there's not a floor in anything really, but once you take that initial hit, then it holds a lot of value, and especially the Sport. The white Sport with the tan interior. It's just a really cool vehicle. It's got all the cool features. The headlights turn with the steering wheel.
That's cool.
Yeah, the braking system on it is second to none. I mean, it's awesome.
I know
it's a nice vehicle.
You're Bronco Wild Outdoors, but I would love to see your channel just do a little walk around before that thing disappears one day. I'd love to see and get your take on that.
Well, so we thought about that. And what's interesting, I'd love everyone's opinion on it, if that's all right, is like if we start doing other reviews on other vehicles, it's like, well, I came here for the Bronco, but I mean, I think it would be cool, right? Right. We're going to be buying my youngest daughter, when she gets a car here, she's driving an Explorer right now. Or she's not driving anything by herself, but when she gets her license, and she wants a Mustang. So I got rid of one Mustang to get another one, but I don't know how this car thing. That's when you have, and Gavin, he already has a vehicle. It's the 21 Bronco, so it'll be 6 years old. He'll be right up his alley. But yeah, I'd like to know if we start doing walkarounds and videos on other, vehicles and stuff. I mean, how cool would that be? So
yeah, definitely.
But I will do that. We'll do a nice walk around and a drive with it. And it's a cool vehicle. I mean, it is a hot rod. There's nothing like when you're behind it, someone cranks it up. It sounds like the 5.4 Shelbys, the 500 horsepower ones, not the new ones. The new ones are completely a beast.
Oh no! So the one you have is definitely a staple of Nashville.
Yeah.
Anytime that that's a little record producer, somebody floating around, and they sound wicked, man. They're mean.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it would be interesting for everybody to see, the technology in it, but there again, to me, the Bronco, it's a completely different vehicle, but it's there's a lot more fun in driving the Bronco. Right?
Really?
The steering. The steering, it's crazy. It's an off-road vehicle, 35-inch tires and all that good stuff. It's just, I mean, you see which ones Becky's keeping, and it's not knocking the Sport. The Range Rover is a great vehicle, and she'll probably get another one day. But right now it's the Bronco.
Right.
So,
well, Tim, have you had an exotic SUV or anything like that?
Not a SUV. The closest thing I had was the South Korean Kia Stinger.
Stinger.
And that was like a skateboard. But I tell you what, I had the headlights that tracked with the steering, and had the Brembo brakes and fire engine red, and the twin turbos on it. So it had some giddy up and go. So I definitely know that. I just never sent it anywhere. Maybe find a good ramp to jump that thing off of.
Just a good old boy, man. Never meaning no harm. Well, so I definitely wanted. I'm hoping Johnny could jump on, because I definitely want him and Dwayne's opinion on this. But Ford's been in the news lately, boys, and we cover Ford quite a bit here on the channel. But and both of your, I mean, Dwayne, you're more Ford centric probably than any of us. But Tim, I know you're with the Bronco and stuff. But let me bring this up, because we've been covering this for a while, and I've said this is coming for a while, and I took some heat a long time ago on a video, but direct sales. So this headline comes from Ford Authority. It says the headline is Ford CEO Jim Farley wants 100% online sales and fixed prices. Now, just based on that headline alone, man, where are you guys at with this?
I haven't. You want me to go first, Tim?
Go ahead, man.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So did you see where the Ford spokesman kind of cleaned this up a little bit?
I have not yet.
Okay, so it was a little bit of context there that you really had to read. Everybody ran with this in one way, and I know
why.
He said right. Yeah, but here's the thing: there was a comparison made to Target and how Target competes with Amazon with physical locations.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mr. Farley said, they've made it easy to get groceries and to return stuff, and they've made that element of buying online a lot easier. Well, the dealer is still going to be involved. They're not going away.
Right.
And more than a distribution center, to me, it would be the dealer's going to handle the transaction. How much of this will be a fixed price? I think there needs to be some room in there. Now, a lot of people, if you've had a dealer that you don't like and they did some deal to a vehicle that you ordered and they, kind of shafted you, then you're like all for it. But then there's those of us who have dealers out there that has treated us like gold, right? And so, you can see both sides of it. I think where it's going to come down is a hybrid system. There's going to be a small variation in price based on what part of the country you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it. Vehicles are more expensive in California than in Virginia?
Yep.
Right? I mean, wages, it's like a different country. So I don't know that it's going to be one price. I think there's going to be a variation of it, but the dealer is going to be used in a different way now. I think they used the term in there. What was the, let's see, just in time.
Yep.
But not in inventory, but just in time in ordering. So in a perfect world, when there's no craziness going on in the world, you have a vehicle that's ordered, parts are shipped in, it's built, and you get it within 60 days. They want to go to a no or low inventory system. So I think the dealer is going to be involved, but just not the way it has been. I think the service, the accessories, think about the accessories, the factory approved accessories. That's the perfect place for the dealer to sell them and bolt them on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you go back and look at the update, there was a slight tweak in it. And the slight tweak being the dealers are still going to be a huge part of it because Ford has over 3,000 franchise dealers in the country. Well, they have over 3,000 franchise dealers. I don't know if all those are just here, but over 3,000.
Right.
That is not something that you want to throw away. I mean, that is something that Tesla doesn't have, is that reach.
Well, the irony of it is, and I said this in a video the other day, is the irony is Ford would like to be more like Tesla, and Tesla would like to be more like Ford. Tesla desperately wants dealerships because they know dealerships will draw more common people into the brand. Because as of right now, Tesla being one of the most valuable companies in the world, but it's a tech company. They're not a car company by any means. So we know how there's always tech bubbles, and Tesla's going to see that at some point. They're going to have a big failure at some point, but they need showrooms to get an older generation. I'll say my generation, because my generation is probably the last generation right on the edge of adapters. Like we're probably the guys that'll be like, okay, we can adapt to EVs. But like I think of my father's generation, my father thinks EVs are great, but at no point can he afford one, for what he would do. Or are they really practical for what they would cost to sit in the driveway and to operate? Because my father won't drive a ton. So is it practical for him? Do you go, okay, fuel cost? Well, he's not burning fuel either way. So then you look at the cost of the ownership of that vehicle, and there's still a monthly note on that thing for him. There would be. So is it worth the extra price to buy EV? I don't know, but I think like you're with the Ford stuff. I think like somebody had said, there's accessories. Dealerships are going to be face of house. The rest of Europe and Australia and everybody, they have basically what Ford's already doing there. They want to do it here in the United States. And because I know in Australia, I've talked to many people who have bought vehicles there, and they order it. Eventually it shows up. But like, speaking of eventually showing up, we got big time. We got the guy that he doesn't just come into these streams. He's in everybody's streams. And we've got Mr. Johnny's Car Care and Review. What is up, John?
Hey, howdy ho. I'm back home.
I see that. I see that, man.
Look, he's got a pop collar and everything. Go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, geez. I asked the wife, I said, am I matching? Am I okay? And she said, yeah, go do the show. Go do the show. Here's a beer.
How nice, man. Well, it's been a minute since you've been on the show, and Ford has been making all kinds of news, brother, man. Like it's keeping your channel busy, right?
Yeah, it's wild. I tried to do reviews on other vehicles, and I've got like 3 other vehicles that I've actually done reviews on. I don't have time to edit it because Ford just keeps changing the game plan or responding to, naughty bad dealers. So it has definitely kept me busy. And the news on the level of things that I like to cover isn't on the top. I do like to make sure to be helpful, like you all. But I really like reviewing cars. It really is the part that working on cars, or getting help to work on cars, I should say, is really what interests me. But yeah, Ford has been in the news with these, the last year, it's really been dealer markups. And who would have believed? I know I got a lot of slack on my channel and criticism saying, how dare you talk about the Maverick being marked up? This was last summer. Like, some people were telling me that'll never happen because Ford's whole purpose is to make a really economical truck and offer something that no one else is offering. So
right,
Ford would never allow that to happen. But then, people don't necessarily know the inside information. That's that dealers have contracts directly with Ford, and there's nothing in these contracts that stipulate that they're protected from being, in the past, they weren't protected from selling under the internet price, under Ford's price. So on a vehicle like a Maverick, let's say you have anywhere from, depending on the model, about $1,000 US to about $2,200 US. Well, in the past, it's the type of vehicle that people probably a lot of people would have gotten very close to cost, and dealers were taken advantage of. And now some dealers feel like it's their turn to, revenge of the dealers. They're like that nasty Darth Maul.
Well, so where are you at with Ford splitting into 3 companies? That really didn't get a lot of play a couple months ago when Farley talked about it. I even mentioned it just barely, and
no, you definitely.
And sometimes these execs will sort of mention this stuff, and they throw stuff out in the press to see how people react. If there was a big negative feedback, that would have been quiet real quick. But where are you at with Ford basically in 3 companies now?
Yeah, it's big. First point, I do like that instead of Ford paying for, paying people to be part of these, little information sessions, and they poll people. Well, now they're actually often saying things in the press, like you say, and looking at what kind of feedback that they get. So they'll sometimes tease a model and see, well, look, we'll tease it, see where it goes, and yeah, if it's popular, we'll build it. So I think that's really interesting because it's the complete opposite of, let's say, making commercials with that are titled, these are not paid actors, and really they're paid actors. So I find it's a good way to do business. It's more straightforward, and it's not meme worthy, but I think they had to split into 3. Tesla has been giving everyone a run for their money. And thank goodness for, I guess if you like electric vehicles, thank goodness Ford pushed this along, because I can recall back to, Hydro-Quebec actually had made an electric vehicle that was actually very good. And this was partaking, I believe, if I recall, in the late 80s, early 90s. And then a major manufacturer came along, bought it out, bought all the patents, and just buried the technology. So Tesla has forced a lot of change. And one of those changes, the direct sale. So I think it's been absolute complete garbage. It's been unbelievably infuriating that some dealers are charging so much over MSRP. I can understand, maybe on an $1,100 vehicle, you take a $500 documentation fee. I can live with that, and I'm willing to pay for it. But when we're talking about, 5, 10, and 15,000 over MSRP for the Maverick, something had to happen. And I think it's good that Ford did step in. They didn't just sit by and say, this will pass. And it probably would have passed. It was a matter of maybe another year or two.
Right. Well, Terrence Moody says, I have a Tesla dealer in my town, and yes, certain states are required to, or allowed to have dealerships.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I don't think it's necessarily a dealership. It's probably a showroom.
Why don't we have one of those?
Mall. We have one of those in Indianapolis where it's basically a retail space that you can walk into, and they've got models of the cars in there that you can, kick the tires.
And
go ahead. Part of this, the art of negotiation. One of the biggest things is, when you said sometimes they'll throw something out, sometimes you'll throw something way out there and negotiate it back to the center, and both sides feel like they got a deal, right? So it's kind of like where Ford might want to be, is some hybrid system between what they have now and kind of what that initial conversation was.
One of the complications to all this is the fact that your financing needs to be done in-house. And, there's particular state rules here in the United States that each state has their own unique rules about that. So Ford's definitely going to need the dealership, but I think it's a win for dealerships as well, because they're going to have to scale back slightly. And, maybe you get a better salesperson that way, because if you're not always fighting for the guy beside you for the next sale, maybe if hey, I mean, there'll be marks to hit, but if it's a little more relaxed for that salesperson, maybe that brings a better salesperson to it. And the fact that if they're coming to you to basically order, or you're going to order online, and it's just going to be a concierge service, basically, kind of like what Ford does with the GT. That's how car sales will be handled. Now, obviously, they're not going to deliver it to your home and give you a 4-hour walkthrough about the car, but I really think it's the idea of a salesperson's probably over. And GM and them all have to be taking notice, because anytime Ford makes a big move like this, them and Ram and everybody start to scatter and go, okay, we got to follow along, or we're going to lose our customers.
Yeah, well, look at Apple, how they deliver their products. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They have a big company-wide announcement. They just had one about changes in messaging and Apple CarPlay.
Apple CarPlay is a big one right now,
right? So you're going to be able to buy now, pay later type stuff through that. And so, but think about that central. God, I hate that word, centralized planning, but it's sort of central product distribution with the local sales. You go to the Apple store at the mall.
Does it turn into like Amazon does now, where they basically have a somewhat local center? The cars get delivered there, and then they ship them out to deliver to customers?
I don't think so, because the service aspect of it. There's a great book out. I don't want to take credit for this at all, so I want to give credit where it's due. There's a great book called Think and Grow Rich.
I've got a great book back here. It's called Driven, Sir.
Oh, is that on your shelf there?
It is. I told you. I told you.
Car. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
I bought Dwayne's book, by the way, and I challenge all y'all to help Dwayne out and buy his book.
Yeah. You have to go to my website now and get it. So,
because I bought the last one from the other one.
You got it from the last one from Amazon, drivenwildgear.com. But what was I even saying?
Always be selling. Always be selling.
Always be selling. No, but this book called Think and Grow Rich. In there, they talk about the QQS score of a business, right? It's the quality and quantity of service. Part of this you're not going to get rid of is the service aspect. People like to be wowed and shown things, but what about when there's an issue? The secondary market, the small mom and pop mechanic shops, they're not going to adapt to this EV stuff right away, right? So you need the dealer, right? You need that service, you need that distribution, and then the parts. You ever notice where the parts department is at a dealership? It's always tucked around the back somewhere on the side.
Right.
I think that needs to be brought to the front of the house. The accessories, when you walk in, you're inundated with all the cool stuff that you can get. And the dealer then gets the luxury of selling that accessory, putting that accessory on, servicing the accessory and the vehicle. And then they're going to have a huge aftermarket or a used lot type situation for all the ICE stuff.
Well, somebody was
really
asking.
weird.
Somebody was asking in the comments about that. Where are you guys at? How do you think they handle used vehicles now? Johnny, you'd be the guy to jump in on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got this question on my show tonight, and I thought it was a really good question because I was highly recommending that we lease our electric vehicles because of one, technology that's coming along down the road in regards to not just the batteries themselves, but even the internals of the batteries. So they're looking at lithium ion, and even with current lithium ion batteries, just changing the negative terminal can help with the life cycle of the battery so that you can have your charge and uncharge cycles last much longer. And that's the main thing, the main issue here. If you purchase your EV vehicle, how long is that battery going to last, first of all? So you don't buy an electric vehicle figuring you're not going to do anything for 30 years. That battery, it might last, it's guaranteed 8 years, but how much beyond the 8 years? And even, Ford, for example, they guarantee 8 years, and within the 8 years, you don't lose more than 25% of the autonomy, of the efficiency of the battery.
So it's like the Apple does with the warranty of their iPhones, basically.
Exactly. And we all know our cell phones, after a year, they're okay. After 2 years, they start to get frustrating. And on the 3-year mark, they're awful. But that's also because batteries on cell phones allow you to charge much closer to the actual 100% and uncharge or decharge much closer to a true 0%. Whereas Ford vehicles really do protect their batteries far more. They have less autonomy as a consequence, so a negative. But the positive is that the reliability of the batteries, well, we've all seen it. How many stories have you heard of Ford EV vehicles or hybrid vehicles catching fire, whereas for other automakers, they're recalling hundreds of thousands of units for that exact problem.
But how many does that other manufacturer have out versus how many does Ford actually have out right now? Because I think that is Ford can land on that, and I know people are taught that work within Ford, but
Dave, I can get a lot of dates. I can get a whole lot of dates anytime, but it depends on the quality of those dates. So if you're saying yes to every single ugly EV battery that comes along, yeah, you can produce more. That's right. But
speaking of the batteries and their charge, did you guys see Mitchell Watts' video, where he took the Mach-E and ran it all the way down to dead zero? He drove it till he could drive it no longer, and he actually got stranded on an off ramp, just literally around the corner from the dealership.
Wow.
And I think that took him like another hour or so to get a tow truck out there to tow him.
Speaking
a lot of people are frustrated that that's not its actual true zero, and there's no override button that you sign a little contract with the vehicle saying, yes, override, give me an extra 1 or 2% of the remaining 10% because I'm so darn close to home or to a dealership. But there's no override button. But that's something that could be programmed in later on if Ford so chooses. But yeah, Ford is awfully protective of their batteries. With everything, there's good and the bad. That is definitely a bad aspect.
Is some of that because they just don't know? Like, they've not had long-term testing with I'll be honest, they got their EV program up and running pretty quickly, so they don't know exactly how long some of this can last.
Yeah. So one of that actually is a good video, and I would recommend people, if they're interested in EVs, to go back and watch it, because you get an opportunity to see the vehicle goes into a preservation mode. It starts shutting stuff down. I mean, it literally gave him every opportunity to pull over safely in a controlled manner before it just shut down. And even then, I guess there was maybe just still a slight amount of charge there, and the ability, I guess, to get a jumper pack on it without having to open up the hood or there's some things on it.
Well, dumb question. You said jumper pack. How does that work within an EV?
I think I think it gives the vehicle enough battery, if I remember right, to power up and do some basic stuff like get it into neutral and things like, because he was in gear when it stopped.
So tow drivers will have to have basically these things from
and they generally have some kind of a battery pack with them anyways, a portable jump start.
It's a long process though. If the vehicle, if I can interject,
go ahead.
Okay, Tim?
No, yeah, hey, absolutely.
Okay. It's like right on your topic. So yeah, it's a long process. So if your vehicle is out of battery, because your big battery is what charges your 12 volt, but at a certain percentage of the big battery, it stops charging near the end. It stops charging the 12 volt, even though you're still driving, because it's trying to conserve as much energy for the remaining, big battery, the 88 or now 90 kilowatt battery, that it stops charging the 12 volt. So it doesn't do that conversion of power. So then when the vehicle truly runs out of big battery, it could also run out of the 12 volt. But the problem is, let's say you're outside the vehicle when this happens, the complete decharge, even though there's still some remaining battery engine power, which frustrates some customers who run out of power. Well, the thing is, the process is long. In the front passenger side of the vehicle, there's this little hub of plastic that you need to pop. Once that's popped, you have access to a cable. From that cable, I originally thought you charge from that cable, but if I'm actually not mistaken, you pull that cable and then you get open to your hood, and then you're taking apart plastic paneling, so then you can access the 12 volts. So it's not a big deal where you guys live, but in Canada you've had time to freeze to death during that process. So it's not hunky dory.
Right. Well, what some of this too,
don't you guys have flannel long johns for your batteries up there?
Well, that is an issue. You have to keep a battery perfect temperature. Yeah. But this is going to change the tow industry as well, because I think tow trucks will eventually have generators built into them that whether it be on their flatbed or however, that they're able to, or they have battery packs that are pre-charged. They at night they switch out trucks, they pre-charge that. Then they can kind of jump these vehicles, at least to get it on the tow truck out of harm's way, or enough to get the person down the highway. And that's where AAA and some of these people, as crazy as that sounds, are probably getting ready to roll out some of this kind of stuff.
For 2026, Ford plans, and I'd be surprised if this happens, but the plan is 2 million EVs produced, EV units produced for the end of 2026. So with 2 million EV units, you'd hope by then, Ford has talked about 150,000 F-150 Lightnings for 2026, but an F-150 Lightning would be a perfect electric vehicle kind of tow truck, because it's mobile and you can charge a vehicle, mind you, people time versus, paying the gas in the bigger vehicle. Gas would have to get a bit more expensive to actually be worth it, that someone sits there for, 45 minutes while they charge you up from their F-150 Lightning. But it does charge other vehicles, which is kind of interesting.
There's two things that I see, how does the building industry play into this? Well, when you're renovating a gas station or building a gas station or whatever, you have to start thinking about charging stations, right? Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing, do you think as more and more EVs come to market, if there are more and more fires, that it's going to change fire code, say in a garage?
Oh yeah.
And insurance,
whether it be sprinkle systems or, the fire rating on drywall and doors. They're already rated, most of them for an hour, but is that going to be increased? And, who knows?
It'll be interesting to see if the insurance companies catch on to this. If there's a high enough percentage of EV fires, your insurance company in not that long will be asking you, what model do you drive? And it's going to be part of the cost of your house insurance, which we all know, Maddie shopped our house insurance recently, and it can range anywhere from I think we're paying $1,400, but we're getting a lot of quotes at $4,000. So house insurance in Canada, at least, can be very expensive. And I really like a point you made earlier, Dwayne, about the art of negotiation, because Ford definitely can say, and we actually saw it, your quote has already been proven. Jim Farley just a week ago was saying basically that it pretty much sounded like it was the end of dealers, that there'd be direct sales, 100% direct sales, 100% non-negotiable. And now in the week that's passed, that's actually been corrected, and it's been pointed out that dealers will still exist. And like you really eloquently pointed out, Dwayne, that dealers will be there, and Dave as well. Your sales consultant is going to be much more, I guess, more like a real estate agent. They'll be more like a really there to, and I really see that this role happening, that they're going to be information specialists, and they're all about giving you intel, and they're not, sales won't fit in the title anymore because they're not going to be working the sale. They're going to be working the information, making sure you get in the right vehicle, the right trim.
Transactional coordinator.
Yeah, and that's something in my industry, in the IT industry, we do a lot of large volume, large money sale purchases, and the salespeople that come in that just try to sell you, they're only worried about that one sale right that moment. We kick them out. We just get rid of them because I don't want to deal with them because I know what it's going to be. They're going to try to screw me at every corner.
Yeah.
We partner with companies that, they're trusted advisors. They don't sell me on something. They say, all right, let's talk about this, have a discussion. We go down an avenue. They bring in an expert in that area and we talk about it. And we work through it, and eventually we'll find something. And the cost is what it is. We'll negotiate a price, but it is what it is. They're not trying to sell me anything other than making sure that we, or me, or my team, or my organization gets what we need to satisfy whatever the task at hand is.
And speaking of selling, guys, if you guys could smash that like button for me right now, we've got quite a few in the watching, and only 18 likes. So
because Johnny needs to feed a poodle,
yeah,
but I don't know what Dave needs to do.
Dave needs more alcohol, so when you smash that, I can afford more whiskey.
There you go.
And the poodle, it's I'm happy you bring it up. The poodle doesn't just need to be fed; it's ridiculous. Medication for a poodle, because he stuck his face in. We're in the forest because I love going in the forest, and Marie has cut me off from camping. Early on, she's like, I don't camp. You want to camp, girl?
What?
Go somewhere else. I know. And I love camping. I love fishing.
Oh.
And, as close as I get to camping is barbecuing at home bring out the barbecue to the lawn. That's about as much green as I can get. She at least did the Bronco off rodeo and didn't complain about the mosquitoes, mostly because they're all on me. I don't know why, but anyways, I took them all. I took one for the team, but yeah, it's what can you do?
I would think that the mosquitoes in Vermont would have been considerably smaller compared to up north.
Yeah, but just like your population, there's 10 times more of them. We live by the forest, and we went through the forest, so no mosquitoes. Went through the entire forest, not one mosquito. Bronco off rodeo, New Hampshire. I personally named the first 50, and then I was like, no, it's giving me a headache. I'm out of names. And I've got, just my brother has 10 kids. So I have 10 nieces just with my brother. So off the bat, I had a lot of names going. But anyways, the dog had ticks in his face because of where he stuck it. So we went and bought this tick medication, and it's like $135. So yeah,
oh my gosh.
So hit that like button on Dave's channel because life isn't cheap. Prices keep going up, not just on vehicles.
That's right. Somebody, Iconic Bronco, was talking about solar powered sunroofs on these vehicles, and Nissan's toyed with that a little bit with their Leaf, but the tech for solar power is just not there enough. I mean, maybe with people working from home, that it would help some, but it's not enough to do much right now.
That is something you're seeing definitely on the top of RVs, trailers and stuff like that. You're seeing these small, they've got the real thin, semi flexible solar panels that they're mounting to the top now to keep the batteries charged up in the tow vehicle.
Right.
Not the tow vehicle. I'm sorry. The towed vehicle, the trailer or whatnot.
But yeah, so no, I wish that tech was there. I think unfortunately sometimes you need a big push, and I think I'm not plus with the current administration right now, but I think sometimes the ugly truth is we need the manufacturers need a big reason to push, and I think if anything, maybe they're getting it right now. So it's going to push this tech along, and you're going to see solar. I think you're really going to see solar develop within the next 10 years, and a lot of money start going into that because, solar, I remember solar as a kid. I remember watching TV shows on it, and because solar's always fascinated me for some strange reason. But I remember that's in the 70s. I remember them tinkering with solar, but there was never a need other than just kind of tinker with it. And now more than ever, I think, you guys were talking about houses and stuff have to be re-engineered. And I think at some point, Tesla is working on the solar roof, and there's a couple other companies out there that are kind of doing a better job than Tesla did at it. But I think that's coming. And who's next to be upset? Your utility companies are the next to be.
Not really, because solar's in the mix now, and essentially what happens, the problem with solar is you have to have some place to store it, or you have to use it. There's no in between, right? So you're either producing or you store it, or you're producing and it has to go somewhere. So a lot of people who have solar basically can push that power back to the grid, and they actually will offset their bill. So that's not bad for the power generating companies, but
they don't pay you like they charge you, though. That's for sure.
That's true. But the thing is, though, is that how much solar is great, wind's great. If the wind is blowing, once again, you have to have some place to store that, or you use it. I mean, wind's a little better in a larger scale because you can introduce that into the into the grid. But then you also have the thing where all that's direct current. Right. Well, I guess with the windmill they can do alternating current, but with the solar it's direct current. So then you have to convert it or rectify it or whatever the heck it is, because I don't remember right now, from DC to AC, and it's not an efficient process.
Right.
So you're losing efficiency there. So sometimes solar is not always the best way to go. I believe that we need to definitely do it. But if you think back just a couple weeks ago, the king of EV, Elon Musk, is saying, hey, don't cut back our fossil fuels right now, because we need to continue to do that. According
to the administration right now, Tesla doesn't exist. So it's only GM. If GM were to say that, it'd probably be a lot better.
Yeah. The point being, though, is that, get from A to B. I mean, we're already looking at states, and Johnny, I don't know how much it is up in Canada right now, but I think in parts in California now they're pushing $10 a gallon.
Yeah,
I don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, we're at $2.10 a liter. So that's basically not pretty close to $10 a liter. But about your storage, you mentioned about storage problems. There is a lot of battery tech coming along that's going to be much more advanced. A reason why, if you're buying an electric EV, I would never buy an electric EV right now, but I would definitely 100% lease an EV. Just because if you lease it at the end, you can either hand your keys back. You've got to buy a back price. So if you buy a back price on a Mach-E is, let's say, generally 32 Canadian, so about 25, 26 US. You can send it back if it's worth less. And if it's worth more, you could buy it back and resell it yourself and tell your dealer that might be scummy, sleazy, sorry. You tell them, I'm going to buy it back because I'm going to sell it myself. And then they're going to be interested in offering you a good trade-in price. And with that trade-in price, if it's higher, you keep it,
the problem with leasing these things, which I'm pro leasing on new tech, definitely. But the problem is we're starting to lose choice of purchase. And Tesla said for 5 or 6 years now, ideally, they would like to be a taxi service, and that's it. They would like you to have a lease program of the car shows up when you need it and it leaves when you're done. And Ford, I guarantee you, the gears are moving on that one as well. That car ownerships, in maybe 50 years might be a thing of the past.
If you think about it, and I live out in the country, I don't think I could maybe do that unless it was a little bit more centralized, but I travel to large cities. I take Uber everywhere. I don't have to mess with a vehicle. I don't have to worry about renting a vehicle. I just dial it up where I want to go.
Uber has also looked into this.
And they meet me out there. And so maybe something like that has advantages in large, urban centers, stuff like that, where why do you need a car?
Well, I want to top back on this just for a second, because this goes back to obviously the EV talk that we're doing, but GM Ford Authority had talked to them about it, and this is a quote. It says, "This concept isn't entirely foreign to Ford, which has taken online reservations in a number of recent products and is already selling the F-150 Raptor Ford Mustang Mach-EV crossover directly to customers in China. And if that's, they can, as crazy as we think about with China is a proven concept for these guys. And if it works over there,
proving ground.
Yeah. Yep. It'll happen here. So
Canada used to be, and somewhat still is, a bit of a proving ground because, you guys made the big news with this. First, you can't lose name match program. If a dealer loses more than 30% of their clients that they ordered for, Ford would, fine them 1 month of no VINs, which means if you've ordered with one of these dealers, you're going to be waiting an extra month. And if they're continuously penalized, you're going to be waiting longer. And if they get 3 strikes, well, guess what? I think it's time number 4. It's either the third or the 4th strike. You're not part of the name match programming, meaning at least regionally in my area, that means you're only getting escapes, some, not many. You're only getting edges. You're getting a few explorers because those are all inventory. But despite the news, and maybe my region's different, but I think major news sources have gotten this horrifically wrong. They're saying that, 25% or more. At one point, they're saying, I think 40% of Broncos were being built for inventory. No, 100% of Broncos are being built for customers. However, a dealer gets allotments, and if they're promised a certain number, and let's say they're promised 20 for the year, and they have, let's say, 25 or 30 reservations, but if in those reservations only 10 of them are actually, let's say 15 or 20 of them are actually buildable, but they have a remaining 4 or 5, well, those remaining 4 or 5, they're still going to get the vehicles they're promised. So it's sort of like a forced inventory, just because the customers who had reserved aren't willing to make compromises and just absolutely want, let's say a 2-door hardtop with a wrap and a hitch. So that was kind of going on with that whole situation. But yeah, Canada's been a proving ground, because since last summer, Ford first threatened Canadian dealers saying, look, we're going to put in if anything funny goes on, if you continue to make fake inventory, we're going to put in this program where you get 10% name match, meaning if you lose more than 10% of your clients, we're going to penalize you and cut you off from, the flow of vehicles coming in.
Well, how does that affect the companies like Grainger, who you probably know just up there in the Iowa area, who they were one of the ones that was all in on Bronco. They played the game how it was at the time, and now they can't deliver on that, and they're sitting there probably getting hit, because I would think customer after customer is like, I've had enough of waiting. Yeah. And it's not kind of Grainger's fault, but
well, yeah, Dave, it is, because Grainger, like every other Ford dealer, would have very clearly been told, worst case scenario, you don't collect very many reservations, you will get some Broncos, you'll get X number of Broncos. So, for some dealers that meant 100, for other dealers that meant 10. And then for some dealers, they were also told, if you collect a lot of reservations and you do a very good job of, selling the idea of the Bronco and converting people from a reservation into an order, we're going to reward you. We'll give you, let's say, 50% more. So instead of 10, you get 15, or instead of 100, you get 150. Well, Grainger was a dealer that would have been very, very clearly told, and this is where major media got this completely wrong, and they, made Ford to be out the bad guys, but Grainger is at fault. They would have been very clearly told, worst case scenario, you're getting at least 100 Broncos, and no matter what, heaven and hell falls, pigs fly, you're getting 150 freaking Broncos. And it would have been so clear. And, this was the type of thing that was talked about every single month from the district managers, from like the district people, the regionals. It had been talked about for about 4 months. Every single month you meet up with these people for 4 or 5 straight months. And Grainger sat back and said, you know what though? They're saying one thing, but in the past, they've just fed us all the vehicles we've ever ordered. So we're just going to do like pre-COVID, pre all this mess, and we're just going to collect as many, and they'll just be forced to build them. Otherwise, they'll look silly. So, when you go to a major manufacturer and you're a little player in Iowa, and you say, hey, you know what, big guys, we're the new kid on the block, we're the bully, and you're going to do exactly what we say because we collected 1,300 orders. And if you don't give us what we want, you're going to look like fools in front of the media. Well, I think Ford made the good call of saying, Granger, go shove it. You're a bunch of crooks. And no, we're going to tell you, we're going to do exactly what we promised we would do month after month. If you weren't listening, what were you on, drugs? Like, it was so clear that every single, you go ask a Ford mechanic if they were going to get as many Broncos as they want. And the Ford mechanic knew exactly that the dealership was only going to get a very limited amount of Broncos. And, even for me, any customer that would walk in and say, I want 3 Broncos, the answer was, you know what, sorry, we can't do that for you because we're only going to get, if we're really, really lucky and things go really well, we're going to get 25 Broncos. So we can't allow you to have 3.
You're beating up Dwayne over there now. He's about to cry. I think.
I mean, I'm depressed,
Dwayne, I did
man.
not mean to pick your exact
no.
number. I'm so sorry.
No, but
you know what? No.
Raptor.
I think Ford should have. I think lessons learned on this. I think with the next big launch, next Mustang, or because Mustang's going to be a big launch.
Yeah,
that's coming up, and they will direct order, do reservations on that. But I think if they would have said, look, we're going to base reservations on household. If you got an address there, you get 1 reservation, and that's it. And then I think that would have solved some problems, but it also might have screwed up the dealers because Granger did they took orders from across America, and there was people in Hawaii that ordered why they felt like they needed to order to save $1,500 or whatever it was.
I saved $1,500. It was so worth it. I'm going to wait 8.5 years.
But is that pre-COVID mentality?
Yeah.
Is that what that is? Because pre-COVID, we always got deals on vehicles, and yet we knew with Bronco pre-COVID, okay, the first 6 months, people are going to pay us slightly over MSRP, or they're going to pay MSRP, and by 6 months, dealers get greedy. Oh, I want sales. Let's $1,500 off. But do you think that's what the mentality was?
If I can say, I think it made sense for me. I bought a Bronco for the wife and and my budget my vehicle budget used to be max $800, and per month, and I'm very unhappy at $800. My happy zone was $600. Then, my father he was in the hospital for 11 days, 10 days hooked up to a breathing machine because of this, all this, illness going on. And I was like, you know what? You only live once. Who knows when I'm going to go? So I'm going to treat myself to 2 Broncos. And if someone would have told me, you know what? Yeah, I had always gotten a deal on my vehicles. I've always gotten a family deal or more. And for the first time, I brought my first Bronco at not much of a deal. And my second Bronco, I bought at MSRP. And I kind of convinced the dealership because they're like, we don't want you to have a second Bronco. Other people want them. And it just happened to be that in my region, we had discovered that some people were buying them really to flip, like quickly. We kind of found that after the fact, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to spend all sorts of money at the parts department. Can my wife also have a Bronco? So that's how it passed. So I think you're right, Dave. You put your finger right on it. I think with everything that happened, a lot of people were willing to spend a little bit more money on a vehicle, and very little dealers. Ford made it very clear. You bring up an important point. Ford also made it clear to dealers how many they would get, worst case, best case scenario. But they also made it really, really clear to not sell over MSRP or under MSRP, that they wanted the price to be fair everywhere so it wouldn't mess up the allocation system, so that there wouldn't be dealers that would end up with 1,300 reservations, but there'd only be place to give them 150. So Ford foresaw the problem. It's just some dealers were just, either had a real problem with, an attention deficit disorder and weren't listening, and there's a squirrel running outside, or they're just nasty.
Well, so Mustang is coming up, and it seems like right now Ford is about the only company doing anything exciting. GM still is like, who knows? We were, last fall, there was the whole EV Silverado. Oh, it's coming. There's been no proof in concept in that thing just yet.
They took book from Tesla.
That's what I was about to say. They took a page out of Tesla's handbook on that one. Obviously it's their Ultium battery or whatever they're calling it. The battery tech is there. They just got to scale it down slightly from the massive EV gas guzzling Hummer they're currently created. But go ahead.
That $100,000 EV that Did you see the one that sold for $207,000?
Well, so I'm in a situation with that. Let's talk about that a minute. So for reservations, I'm in a situation. So I've ordered or I've done the reservation for the EV Silverado. Once again, it was like the Bronco. Unless you were ordering a first edition that they call it, you have you don't have any choice. You just ordered an EV. Things have changed. I know now a Raptor Ranger is coming out, which for my channel, I think more interest would be in my channel for that. Maybe it's not long-term smart because maybe the better play would be get deeper into EVs. But do I go ahead and try to, man, this little gnat, do I try to go ahead and pull that when it comes out? Because they're saying next year is when they're supposed to launch. Do I keep that reservation and flip it? What would you guys do in this situation?
I don't know. I was gonna say buy what you want and get the marketing company people to get you the time and the seat for the other vehicles. I enjoy what buy something because you want to enjoy it.
Well, but for me, it would be good for the channel, and a lot of my vehicle purchases now are based around what market share of of this.
I love the idea of a Ranger Raptor, and I think that we need to take into account though Ford history. Ford is very smart at getting people to trade. We'll trade after 1 year. Me, so I'd be very tempted to buy a Ranger when it comes out. And then 1 year later, what do they always do? 1 year later, they always have the Raptor. They'll have a high performance variant to get, the really intense people. And now
I'm going to disagree with you on your time frame there, because the Australian market just got their Ranger. Guess what was right beside it? The Raptor. And I know a time frame, a build time on Ranger Raptor. So I think it's quicker than 2 years on you, but go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
That would be nice. Well, I was thinking maybe they'd introduce it year 2, but either way, what could be really good for your channel, and this would go into Ford history.
Pinto.
We look at the Escape, we look at the Fusion. I suspect that year 1, we're going to continue with the 2.3 liter Ranger. They're going to pick everyone up who just wants the new style, but essentially mechanically a similar Ranger, but with a better frame and a better ride, because the current Ranger rides, it's rough. The frame's it could be, if it was wider and longer, great. And it would resolve a lot of problems, just like a pre-2020 Escape was a rough ride, fantastic in the corners, but really rough ride because it's too narrow, too short. So
isn't the I'm sorry, isn't the Ranger frame the same one the Bronco's on?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd suspect it drive, the Bronco's a really comfortable ride, so I'd suspect it would drive better than the current, the current Ranger and the Bronco. I was actually quite positive that there's some differences, and the new Ranger is going to be taking on the frame of the current Bronco. So it's going to be updated. It's going to be more comfortable. And with these changes, you're going to get everyone who's like, oh, I want a more comfortable new style Ranger. But then either year 1 or year 2, I'd suspect that they're, how I would unfold it. And obviously, it's not what's going to happen because of Australia. Dave, you made the excellent point that I hadn't taken into consideration. But come year 2, if they have a plug-in, all the year 1 purchasers that are, big Ford guys are going to switch for that plug-in technology, adding on to a 2.3 liter, which has been made by probably what was quite a bit of a slip from the head of a Volkswagen, because, the Ranger Amarok, one of the heads at Volkswagen was saying that they weren't very satisfied with the autonomy off of the next Ranger, and, kind of hinting at the fact that they'll be in a Ranger electric. So I would see it unfold as Ranger year 1. Who knows when the Raptor, because clearly I'm wrong, but I don't want to say it. No. Year 2 or 3 for the mid-model refresh, you get the plug-in. And then for the 5th year, that's when you throw in electric, and you get the same person to switch. What is that? The first time, the second, and then the last time on electric. Within 5 to max 8 years, you get 3 swaps from the same client. You get 3 sales in 1.
Hey, by the way, if I could, the new Ranger is 2 inches wider, 2 inches longer, and they've spread the wheelbase out a little bit. And so apparently they in the works with Volkswagen, there was some talks about making a chassis that would work great for both of them and a little bit wider. Well, think about it. The 3.0 is going to sit in that new chassis quite well in the Raptor Ranger.
Oh,
So how
very cool.
with Ranger and Volkswagen, how interesting would it be if the Scout had some underpinnings of Ford?
Well, that I don't think that's happened because the Scout's going to be completely EV, and they're on that skateboard style platform.
Well, also think about the width of it as it increases in width. You think maybe there is that thought of the electrification of it, right?
Well,
Somewhere to hold the batteries.
Well, with hybrid technology, look at what Toyota is doing right now, and it's under the passenger seats is the way they're doing their battery packs. So
Escape as well, and the
yeah,
Escape had to go wider and a little longer. Basically, the changes happening to the Ranger to what the Bronco has now to accept that 3 liter. So that was a really cool point, Dwayne. Well, that's what had to happen with the Escape for the battery to fit. And actually, in the current F-150, because that current F-150, when they built that platform, it's not as if it was set in stone that there'd be a plug-in. How they had to adapt that battery is you go from 136-liter fuel tank to 116-liter fuel tank because you get less fuel tank in order to fit the battery. And Jim Farley has recently said that the F-150, and let's see if this happens, but the F-150 Lightning is supposed to be the last EV that Ford makes that is just a converted gas. So I don't know what that's going to mean for an electric Ranger, how much they would actually, well, it could just mean that if they make an electric Ranger, it'll hold a Ranger name, but like Dave said, it's going to have a skateboard platform.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. You know, with VW right now, what their dealers are so upset. You know, you're talking about the Amarok, but that will not be in the United States. That's for European only. And
That's
but
some good
I feel
negotiating.
well, yeah, that you know, hopefully. But the dealers here are clamoring for a truck, and you know, what was it, a month or so ago? VW Group, I should say. It's very confusing to talk about that company, but as a group whole, they have the rights to the Scout name. And if you guys don't know, the International Scout was it's a legend of a poorly built, poorly marketed vehicle from the late 50s through early 80s. And unfortunately, you know, when a tractor company decides they want to get into the car game, it was just kind of, you know, that vehicle has a history. People are always like, oh my God, the Scouts were great. No, they were not great vehicles. They unfortunately, I think early on they were probably great, but the less people spend money into them, the worse it got by the 80s.
Well, Dave, if you think of Lamborghini, you know, they're an amazing company that came from tractors, and they never have any issues. Maintenance is dirt cheap, and they never have mechanical issues either. So clearly, tractor companies are the best source of automobiles and trucks.
Well, once VW
let's make
got
a
a
John
hold
Deere
of them,
car. Let's make it happen.
yeah. Oh, only green and yellow. But no, once VW got a hold of Lamborghini, once VW gets a group, once they get a hold of companies, they straighten some problems, funding problems, I think generally. But I don't think of International as a hypercar either. I don't see any hypercars, you know, from that company floating around with a PTO in the rear of it so they can plow the fields as well. But I want to talk about the Scout just a little bit and get you guys' opinion on this, because like I was saying earlier, the Scout, you know, the older some vehicles get, the more people think well of them. Oh my God, the Scout was amazing. And let's be honest, the Bronco, we talk a lot of Bronco here, but the Bronco did steal a little bit of Scout. Scout was out first. Bronco definitely has that front end and side look to that vehicle is pretty similar. Now why the Bronco was the popular vehicle, I think, like I was saying earlier, Ford had money to market it where International didn't have the dealer networks and stuff that Ford had with it, and the Bronco won out. But I'm interested. I keep telling people that I think you're going to see less automotive companies, and here there's another one popping up, and between Rivian and now Scout, and when is enough, man? Like EV's going to make everything boring, right? Dwayne, where are you at with this?
Well, speaking of Jim Farley again, he had mentioned that he sees a lot of the smaller companies that it's going to be hard for them. And I don't want to misquote him, but I think this is pretty much sums it up, is it's going to be hard for them moving into this new way of building vehicles, 20, 30 years down the way.
Mhm.
And that a lot of your smaller companies are going to merge, partner, or some type of deal with bigger brands. And wouldn't it be cool if Ford acquired Rivian, even though they have too many investors for, I think, that to work. I don't know. I think it's a motor and a battery. It becomes then about design and cool features and accessories. I mean, that's where we're at with it.
It's all software. Software as a service.
Exactly.
And service.
Yep.
And service. And that's why Ford is saying that they want to keep the dealers, to tie this back into the whole topic of the live this week. I think Jim Farley's right in saying that the advantage that Ford can have over, the Teslas and the Rivians of the world, and really any new manufacturers have their advantages. Don't get me wrong. China has proven this for electric vehicles. You can be a nobody and you can start producing electric vehicles because,
you also have the government backing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That,
Yeah.
Only a few $100 billion to go around. But
Yeah.
Yes, that is a great point, Dave, and you totally got me. A good drop kick to the face. A Shawn Michaels spin kick to my face, but you're completely right. And I hadn't even thought of that. But of course, the Chinese government not only supports and lifts up their companies, but they also have the right at any point, even if you're foreign owned, the factory can convert to making, army boots. And it's a poor example, but electric tanks. The day after the government decides to put a law in place, because the law already is in place. At any point, the Chinese government can seize a factory and a company, and it becomes state property. So, Dave, I'm really sorry I've ruined your show. You'll now have 0 views in China. So if you're in China, subscribe while you still can, because that's a limited time offer now that I opened my stupid fat mouth. But
I think we were blocked already by the CCP.
Well, I've got to do this. Hold on. I'm changing our color to red now because our fatherland, China. We want to. So now the names are red because we're.
So
Johnny he's communist. I knew it. I knew Johnny was there.
My friendship with Dwayne is over now, because I saw that he actually made an anti-communist, possible anti-communist little slide earlier, and I enjoyed it because it was very hidden. But I'm pretty sure I picked up on that, despite that I'm double fisting here. I got beer on the left and wine on the right.
Well, it's a typical Marxist. I can see in the background. Look at all those vehicles. That's a Marxist all the way,
Yeah. Hey, so bashing on China, since we're already there.
Sure. Why not?
I saw, because we talk about the EV stuff, and I saw a stat today, and I might be wrong, but I'm sure I'm pretty close. It's either 12 of 13 or 15 of 16 of the elements needed to make lithium batteries are under full control of China.
Yeah. And they deliberately pull down factories. They limit their production of minerals. I was reading this must have been 6 months back, but they just randomly showed they've got almost all the factories for one of the needed minerals. They've got 38 of them, and they decided to close it down to like 5 or 6 factories, just, because it's a Monday. And
so all the fighting, and I saw Flo talking about some stuff that Jimmy Carter tried to do during his term, but we had
the helicopters involved him.
But talking about trying to get out from underneath control of OPEC, this big push of pushing, moving away from fossil fuels, getting this into the electric thing, being tied, basically, essentially creating the same scenario with China that we had with OPEC, where they just basically held anybody that needed fossil fuel energy, a hostage. And not with the Iran Contra hostage thing, or not Iran hostage thing, but just from a financial standpoint, are we putting ourselves? I mean, these companies they're going all in on EV, but what are we doing for? How are we going to be able to supply all that material? I mean, here in Indiana, Stellianis, I think, is going to open up a battery plant in north of Indianapolis, along with some of the manufacturing for the for their engines and stuff. But that's cool. But how are we going to get all these components? And if everything is coming out of China, or they control it,
and Africa, which good parts are controlled by China.
Yeah.
Through
how
very
are we
negotiations.
how are we going to navigate that, and are we going to just be held hostage again?
But Canada, Tim, we've got Canada here. First of all, Ford is looking at ion batteries, which that would be very, very American. But let's say a good portion or part of the portion of their batteries are made from aluminum ion. Canada is a huge supplier of aluminum. And generally, we believe anything that we're told with a straight face. We don't understand sarcasm. So, we'll be really good at saying yes to whatever American leader you have suggests. If he says it nicely, we'll build it and we'll make it and we'll give it to you for peanuts, just like our hydroelectricity from Quebec. So that would actually probably be a good, historically safe partner to get in bed with.
For America and North America in general, the whole trade agreement and all that needs to really strengthen a little bit more, because at some point, yes, Mexico is going to build up most of our vehicles. I know people in Detroit do not want to hear that, but that's where it's going. They are going to be the labor for that stuff. They're a major part of the labor industry in the building. I'm sure Dwayne sees this. The Hispanic community is a huge part of that. They do it cheaper and they do it faster, and they generally don't complain. So if North America, as far as Canada in the United States, if we don't get our materials together and kind of strengthen as a continent, we better watch out.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, shifting gears slightly a little bit. Have you noticed that? And I need to find the article on this, that solar panels have become cheaper to produce over the last 10 years. Electricity cost continues to go up. What's the spread there?
Well, there was a big push on the panels through the Obama administration. They dumped a ton of money in solar, and a lot of those companies suddenly went bankrupt. Pretty quickly.
This is actual manufacturing costs.
But a lot of that stuff's manufactured in China.
Right.
Yep. Unfortunately. Why not water turbines? The power of rivers and oceans are always there. So, and you don't have to really worry. It's constant. And if you need to not use it because people are sleeping, because there's less electricity use, which at night, which will change with electric vehicles, everyone's going to be charging at night. So why not water turbines?
Good point.
You've got gravity for the rivers, and in the oceans, none of that's going away. And as long as at least river turbines, I know, don't harm fish. So, anyways, I don't know what I'm going to say about dolphins.
Man, the communist that's animal lover over there suddenly too, fish lover. I'm playing, by the way, but some of these we're 10 years from really knowing some of these answers of these questions. But it is interesting with the crazy major push that is EV. Last topic, and all of you guys are perfect for this because this is a Bronco topic. Let me pull this up and we'll go from there because I didn't prepare you guys for any of this. But Ford, the 2.7 liter V6 EcoBoost engine failures explained. Well, it's come out that that the NHTSA is looking at these 30-some complaints about the engine, which I find crazy. And now, if you've had this problem with your engine, I'm sure you're going to be like, but Dave, my engine blew up. Out of my take on this, and I want each one of you guys' take on this. My take is, out of all the engines they've built, now 30 to 50, we'll say, that may have had problems. That's not 1% probably of all they have on the road for this engine. Tim's kick us off on this, man. Where you at with all the engine issues?
So I am, it's a mechanical device. Shit is going to break. The question is how does the company handle that? Sounds like it's getting into the dealer. Sounds like, I don't know how long it's taking. I'm assuming they're having to replace the entire engine. So I'm not sure how long it takes to get a new motor shipped in and installed and everything. But I think that's the real, it's the real answer there is how long does it take for that? I mean, yes, it's an inconvenience. Yes, it's a brand new vehicle, not necessarily a brand new engine or a new style of engine, but mechanical stuff is going to happen. It's going to break every once in a while. That's why we have warranties.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of the people are complaining that it's taken quite a bit to get their engine replacement, but we're also coming out of a pandemic. You know, I know even with my dealership for my repair they said, hey, there's, just hold your expectations. We might get this quickly and we might not.
I think that's unfortunately, I think that's an excuse that a lot of places, and I'm not saying specifically your dealership, but a lot of places have gotten into this habit of just trying to blame everything on the pandemic.
Well, sure, that's an easy one now.
It's the pandemic. Well, you know what? I tell you what, you're in business to make money. I make money to spend it with you. Figure out how to do that and doing it in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, Jesus, you can get stuff off of Amazon again next day now. So
right.
There's
still though, Tim. There's a lot of boats still sitting out on the West Coast. Would like to be bringing stuff this way. I will say
there are a lot sitting there.
Figure it out. I can't. We are the most industrious country in the world.
And the laziest, I think, too, at some points.
Figure that shit out. And if it's, why can't they get it on the dock? Is it the longshoremen or the dock workers? Or
it's always Siemens' fault.
What? It's what?
Siemens' fault. It's always the Siemens' fault.
Dwayne,
where are you at with this?
Well, I'm a different. So first of all, the 2.7 is also in the F-150. The question that I have, because I don't know this, is are they the exact same engine between the F-150 and the Bronco? Now, they're both 2.7 EcoBoost twin turbos, but are they the exact same compression, exact same valves, heads, and everything else? I'm assuming they are, because I don't know of any differences. The question there becomes, is it just tuning that's different? How many F-150s are we seeing having issues like this, or at least being publicized? And there's F-150 forums out there. Are we seeing the same number?
Right. Well, according to this article right here, I don't know if you guys can read this or not, but it says part of the problem with these 2.7 power plants are they are utilizing cheaper suboptimal valves that were acquired from a new supplier and apparently didn't properly validate those particular components. But in addition to faulty valves, the Bronco version of the 2.7 also utilizes a less optimal fuel pan design as well, which allows
it says oil, Dave.
The
oil pan.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. But allows the oil
off of your screen.
allows the oil pickup tube to become uncovered and suck in air, which also can destroy not only the valves but bearings as well.
So I know the Bronco, for example, holds 7 quarts versus 6 quarts on F-150, and they've done a really good job with the baffles in the oil pan to keep what they were talking about sucking air is cavitation, right? They're keeping it. So if you look at your pitch, I guess your pitch and roll, mainly your roll, it'd be, I think, a roll issue, is that the pickup is further down. Obviously, there's more oil in a pan. There's another quart because it's a deep sump, and the baffles that they put in there's job is to keep the oil going to it. But if you look at the complaints, people said they were driving down. Most of them were driving down the interstate. They weren't under heavy performance. They weren't doing anything crazy. They were just cruising. And if they know it's a valve issue, then it's a valve issue. But if engines outside of that time frame are still having issues, then I would lean on tuning. My issue is that the 2.7 is a solid engine. I did the video on it where I talked about all the benefits of it. It is a solid engine, top to bottom. When I see something like this, I'm kind of like, really? Out of all of the other things in this world with a much greater percentage of failure, washing machines, AC units. I get it. You're not driving down the road. And, I think the complaint here is that you could lose power on the road, right? That's their thing.
My last washing machine wasn't $60,000.
Exactly. So there is that, but I'm just saying that the percentage of mechanical stuff failures, right?
Right.
But I get it. It's a more expensive. I don't know, man. I don't, when I see something like that, I just think it's a little over, and it's an inquiry, right?
Well, according to this article, 25,538 of the SUVs could be affected. So
you said 25,000?
Yeah. almost 26,000 basically. So
I'm
pretty
guessing
low
that was
number.
entire 2021 run of 2.7s.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yep, about that.
Yeah.
So they're
go ahead.
building separate engines, right?
Yes.
For F-150 and Broncos. I don't mean oil pans, but
my understanding though, it is a slightly different block design than the old 2.7 that the F-150 uses. I don't know that to be a fact.
Well, that was a Gen 2 switch in 18.
No, but I'm saying that the ones they're putting in the Bronco, my understanding, and I know there's some people that work for Ford Motors at the plant that builds these. They may pop in later and put something in the comments, but they could validate that or say, Dave, you're just crazy. But I don't know on this one. Johnny, how are you guys in Canada handling this?
Well, several things. First of all, I know the programming. Dwayne touched on a really good point. The programming on the Bronco is different than the F-150. And at least on paper, you go through, the materials, the block, the type of injection, pistons and whatnot, the crank, and it does look like it's identical other than programming. Mind you, even if a motor is identical, on paper, you can say a motor is identical, but you can also be getting different suppliers supplying your valves. And if your valves come from a different supplier, which is what Ford is saying in this scenario, if they're made to a lower standard, which, if you're in off-roading gear, you see that, you can have two parts that look the same, but have very different snap points. Well, clearly, those valves are weaker and they are causing problems. In F-150s, I can say that the 2.7 liter has been in the Edge, it's been in the Nautilus, it's been in the F-150. And once they went to Gen 2 and they switched to both direct injection and port injection, it has not been an issue. Locally, even going back from 2018 when the change occurred, there's only been one issue I checked with the head tech, there's been one issue of a 2.7 liter having a major issue, or really any issue, but it was major, but it was one issue. Now, if you do look at the numbers, you're talking about, to come to a second point, you're talking about potentially roughly 20,000 2.7 liters potentially being affected. Yeah, that basically probably would be all of 2021 production, because for 2021, if I'm not mistaken, what was it they made? Sorry, I lost the number here. I think in all 2021 and 2022, they're at about 80,000 Broncos. Mm-hmm. So of the 40,000, give or take, we say there's 50% that were made as 2.7 liters, when we all know the ratio is probably a little higher than 50% of 2.7 liters of overall Broncos made. You'd look at about at least minimum 40,000 Broncos on the road right now that have 2.7 liters. All of these issues occurred in low mile Broncos. So I agree 100% with Dave. This is a very minute percentage, and it's actually much less than 1%. It's, hundredths or thousandths of a percent. And, I also agree with Dwayne that we need perspective on this. The thing is, most people are emotional. I'm obviously not emotional, and even lucky to have a wife in my life, because I'm very logical, which means I'm very annoying to a lot of people.
I don't know. I've seen your audience keep growing, Johnny. I don't think you're annoying to many.
You're real, Johnny.
I'm collecting like-minded, data-driven people, and you guys. I really love hanging out with you guys, because you all have these specialties and this knowledge that I can't attain, but I do really like numbers. So I'm decent with numbers, and I'm sort of a generalist hanging out with specialists. And it's really cool being around specialists, because that's when I learn. But as a generalist, I look at the numbers. So give or take 80,000 Broncos made, 40,000. And actually, I think Ford at one point said it was more around 65, 70% that were 2.7s. So we easily have 40, if not 60,000 2.7s on the road. We've got, what is it? If the numbers, if they're the NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Agency or Association. Anyways, if they have 46 and let's say now 50 or 51 reports, people that would not have reported to them are maybe 3 times higher. So if you're looking at an actual 150, maybe at most 200, 2.7 liters, like Dwayne said, fridges and, ask Coderman, but fridges and Samsung, sorry, I won't name any names here, but my washer and dryer, I spent like $4,000 on. And by week 2, the thing was peeing all over my floor like a newborn.
Wait, if your washer's peeing, you may have installed it wrong. That's all I know. I just, you may want to have that checked out.
Speaking of Coderman, I was just thinking I need a push to get some subs. 500, and I was thinking, what could I do to get to 500? And it hit me. I'm going to do a refrigerator repair video just to boost up my subs.
You got 1.2 million views on that fridge repair. And Samsung, I used to work way back when I was just straight out of the army with a back that was good for, I couldn't go back to doing construction or working for a town as a town employee, which has amazing benefits. So and I didn't want any benefits. I didn't want any free pay. So I said, I'm going to stand on my two own feet. I'm going to do the only job that I know requires the least amount of effort. So I'm going to become a salesman. So I started selling electronics and couches and whatnot. And I was working at a major, retail store selling a lot of Samsung. And I can tell you, it's not just Samsung. To pick on Samsung, it's not just Samsung, but generally these days electronics crap out on a very regular basis. I highly recommend buying an extended warranty when you buy anything that's electronical, and they usually do crap out in the first year. So what's interesting about the Bronco issue is all these Broncos are going under 10,000 miles. Now I just said bye, to put it nicely, the one Bronco, and it had 10,000 miles. Dave is, getting, most people have issues between 1,500 and 3,000 miles. So Dave is past that, right, Dave?
Yeah, I'm right around 9,000 miles in mine.
Yeah, right on. So you've made it past,
I've heard some 10K ones, man. My fingers are crossed. Trust me.
There's 2 in the whole lot of the reported cases.
Is there?
So okay. Yeah, there's only 2 that actually, and they're just below 10, or like one was like maybe 10 and a few dust bunnies. But I sold mine at pretty much 10 even, so 15,000 kilometers, and I never had any issues with it. My other one, other than temp sensor, which is looking more common than the actual.
Wait, did you off-road this thing? I mean, because sensors do not fail. So
I never once sent the Cactus Jack through. I never sent it, but I definitely.
Do you yell "buckle up, Cactus Jack" when you go through mud puddles?
Oh my God! There you go. That's your shirt, Dave, right there.
I said buckle up, Winston, because you can't tell a vehicle to buckle up. It's impossible. Vehicles don't buckle themselves since the 1990s, when we had like the Escort and the Probe that would really impolitely like smack you in the face as they'd automatically buckle up. And Ford had thought they had made the most genius buckling up system, and they're going to save the lives of children and parents everywhere. And really all they did is smack people in the face. But anyways, beyond electric buckling up, nowadays, vehicles do not buckle themselves up. So you can tell your partner to buckle up. So I told Winston to buckle up, and I drive through the yard because the city would leave me these really annoying snowbanks because I live on the corner. And anyways, everyone's snow from the loop ends up in my yard. So to show this how much I appreciated the city, I would, while the snowplow was often even there, I just plow through and push it back into the street and wave to him and say, "Have a nice day. Do you want me to make you a coffee?" So I was being like really aggressively nice. So he knew what I was like.
Very Canadian of you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I sent the Cactus Gray through a lot of snow.
So how does Winston buckle up? Because he doesn't have opposing 4 fingers and thumbs.
Well, Matt, he gets the signal and she does it for him.
Oh, okay.
Good question.
So Winston is a kept poodle.
No, let me tell you about. Johnny, can I tell the story about Awful Arthur's and Winston?
You should.
Yeah. So we're going into Awful Arthur's in the Outer Banks. It's a cool place. Yeah, it just sounds like it, right? And Winston comes in there with us. Winston is eating at the table with us. Now he's in his right. He's got a cool little deal. It was so cool that
they were cool with us.
Winston is not like, you say he's a dog, right? But he's like a little person. Like Winston's cool. So
Yeah,
I'm
he's
glad to
quiet.
say I met him, the famous Winston, in person.
Dwayne tried to spend more time talking to Winston than me, but you all know that I talk a lot. So I just cut Winston right off and just tried to own the show. And I don't do it deliberately.
No, Winston couldn't get a word in edgewise. So,
oh man, Johnny, you coming to America anytime soon? Any more plans to do that?
Back, but I was mentioning earlier that Maddie cut me off from camping. So anywhere I have to take. Anywhere I go, I have trouble going anywhere without her and Winston, and definitely Winston as a minimum. But anywhere I go, I need to be near a hotel. And I really do mean hotel, because I went to one of my favorite places in New Hampshire. It's North Conway, and they have the Stonehurst Manor. And this is, free publicity. I love the Stonehurst Manor. Even Maddie said it was the best
meal. Kelly, bleep this, please. Bleep this.
Okay.
It was the best meal she had. It was the best meal I've had. The service was incredible. But then she got to the room, and because it was like 1950s, 1800s castle style, and the colors were gloom, she was like, I don't feel comfortable staying here. And she's like, this is almost like camping. I'm like, just because there's brown on the walls and there's wood cabinets doesn't make it camping. But anyways, so I want to come back to the States, but it requires a lot of negotiation. I have to ask permission. So Dave, it's okay.
Well, why I ask is because Windrock Park has nice cabins. Now they're brown in color. It's a wooden cabin, but they have what's called Wi-Fi and and conveniences of hot showers.
Well, that's good.
HVAC and lights.
That's right. Next time you're in the area, we've got to take you over to Windrock and take you up, see some big windmills and some kind of funds. But guys, it's been almost 2 hours, and I appreciate this. Really? It's I'm glad Tim over there reminded me that I was supposed to do softball tonight. We had a storm come through, and I didn't get to do that. And he was like, there's the happy hour. And I was like, oh, damn it. I forgot all about that. We got to get over here. But I want to say thank you, Johnny. You were late to come in on this one. I want to say thank you for being on here as always. I would say go find Johnny's and sub to his channel, but more than likely, knowing Johnny's numbers over there, you've already subbed to his channel, and we're begging for that sub back.
Let's get Tim to 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, of course.
That'd be great.
Of course, but Tim's going to have to release content, and Tim is...
Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw it, the very unattainium DJI microphone set here.
I see that.
Did you get it?
Put together some awesome audio for my video.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So, Johnny, what's the next thing on your channel popping up? I know you got like 17 videos before Friday. So what's going on?
Well, I really liked, no one liked my Florida videos. And that was sort of, my big joke was Night Bright, because we were driving by night and bikini on the beach by day. Yeah. And I kind of felt like Batman dressing up, suiting up, but just putting on a bathing suit. So a really weird pinky Batman. But anyways, sorry for that. I really like that Night Bright stuff. So anyways, I think next.
That's your next channel, John.
Yeah. I just did a pool video. I just really like doing videos that I feel are practical, real, and helpful. Right. And I know anytime I talk about anything that isn't Maverick, I don't really get very many views, but I'm almost feel like if someone writes me like, hey, I used your baking soda trick for the pool to bring up my pH, to build up my pH and save my liner, and I saved, $4, I feel like I made that $4, even though, these are the type of videos that make me about $2.59 to be more precise. But I want to kind of cover what is helpful. And I'd also like to do more reviews. I picked up my 1991 MR2. I'm one of the rare YouTubers or YouTubiers or whatever we're called here. I'm one of those rare guys that actually bought back his own car. I had that imported from Japan in 2006 or 7, or I can't remember. And I met Marie with that vehicle. We became friends, and I had to have that vehicle. I bought it back. It is the biggest hunk of crap ever, and everything's wrong with it, minus having the latest Toyota 3S GTE 3rd generation engine in it. But it needs paint, programming, seats, everything. So probably lots of MR2 content.
It's got memories, though.
It's got memories, and if it's
got
not
memories.
popular, I'll just keep those videos for myself.
Well, Dwayne, what you got coming up, man?
So we have a few nuggets on the new Raptor 3.0. I was able to talk to a VIP connected to the program, and it was pretty cool. There's some
Nice.
really neat features under the hood of that. That video is coming out this week, as well as some more details on some of the new products coming out, like the Ranger. And we're going to try to venture out in that area a little bit, get
away from my Ranger.
No, actually, yeah, good, really good vehicle there. I mean, the new Ranger coming out is just so cool. We haven't done a lot with Maverick at all because, I mean, you
can't find them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a lot of neat stuff, but a little outdoors stuff we have coming up. Another beach further south, a little harder. We went to one last week, and there was some pretty big ruts in there. I think, Johnny, just think about the hill we went up, twice as tall with ruts about 2 feet deep.
Oh,
how did the Bronco do? Well, how'd the Bronco do? I guess you'll see it in the video. So
I want to say, Dwayne, I liked your temperature video you dropped this past week. I thought that was very helpful. And I know it's not a video. It's not going to be a hot, like out of the box video, but I think that's the kind of information, man, that you excel at. And I think that's a long-term video for you that you're going to see a lot of rewards from that video.
It's an evergreen video for sure.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to know, hey, I've noticed the temperature going up. Is it normal? I just tell everybody based on the type of oil you use and based on the type of contaminant that's in it, how dirty it is, how much carbon's in it, stay away from 300 because 300 is where, here goes the comments, but it's what it's called. Coking happens.
Right.
So it's where the oil changes states. And so but the temperatures we were at, we were way away from that.
Dwayne's a Coke dealer over there. Listen to him preaching the burning oil.
I don't know. No,
but
that's definitely not an issue I have. Trust me.
Right? No,
I'm too square for that one.
Cooking oil, huh?
Yeah. No, but basically, you just want to know. There's some, when you do a video on YouTube, you've got to really explain it because then the comments start where people think you're saying one thing. What I'm saying is that, you're far away from any engine oil related issues. However, if you're in the sand, in loose sand, and you're trucking down 3 miles of beach, look at that oil temperature. And when you stop, maybe just give it a minute and you'll notice about every 30 seconds, there's a 2-degree drop.
Right. Well, I look forward to more of those videos because I
appreciate that.
I bet you could replicate that driving into a mud pit.
Oh, absolutely.
Mine might be worse, actually.
Then take it to the Ford dealership and blame them. Cole, hook me up on that. Hook me up on that. You know how to get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to somebody from Roush. So Tim, obviously you said you're just you've been in a stay pattern, looking for video ideas, but I have a feeling you're gonna launch some out soon.
Yeah, I am looking at some stuff. I guess the question I'm kind of struggling with is how technical do I get? Because like Dwayne being technical with the mechanical side, I'm kind of technical with the electronics side of stuff. And I'm trying to come up with some videos that can help people out, like radio communications. How deep do I go? And I'm kind of debating of probably doing like an overview video that's kind of not technical.
Right.
And then follow that up with some more technical videos. I think that's probably what I'm looking at. Well, and then that infamous, I got my dash pulled out, pictures and stuff.
I'm going to pull something up here real quick because I want you guys to.
Yeah. And Tim, I'll say this is that the one thing is communication is something that I just can't grasp, like the different types and which one's better and GMRS or CB or, that. So I think really clarifying which system works for you and what you're doing is probably needed because hell, I'd watch that in a minute and try to figure it out.
The one thing, though, I guess the approach I want to take maybe on that initial video is that, you'll hear a lot of people tell you what you should do or what you need to do, but they never really answer the question, why?
Right.
Why is it, great. Everybody says I need to do GMS or GMRS, or I need to do ham, or I need to do CB, but why? What's the benefit? What's the negatives?
Because they own stock in Midland.
Well, and
Probably.
that could be. You know, a lot of people, if you get around an area where there's a lot of ham radio operators, they're going to probably say you need to put a ham radio in there. But there's a barrier to entry to get into that. And that may not be what some people want.
Well, I know for me,
I
like
don't think Dave's going to sit and study to take an amateur radio license test. And that's such a huge hobby that there's much more than just, you know, mobile to mobile communication. I mean, I can talk to people around the world, and I do occasionally, but
on the stream, right?
Oh no, on the radio. No. Hey man, check it out, buddy. I got me a heavy duty headset here.
Easy guy.
Check you out.
Flexing.
Don't make me pull out my headset now.
Well, you know, Tim's gonna have all the high tech stuff.
I got all the high tech stuff.
Well, Tim is a techie guy. I want to share this real quickly, if I can. Because one of our next videos coming up is going to be this. And, well, I've been trying to get this to come up, but you know how like you last minute thing, you're like, hey, let me do this. But I had this pop in the other day. And
is it your casting couch?
Yes, my casting couch. And so this came from a manufacturer. I can't say too much, but what do you guys think's in the box?
Well,
I can't talk. I just got that casting couch joke.
yeah, no.
What's because you're in Canada?
Can you order a casting couch on Wayfair? Just what I need.
They've got what you need.
That's right.
So all right. So I'm trying to gauge how big the box is. Let's say it's something.
It's bigger than 2 feet because I see 2 feet in the picture.
Well, wait a minute. Well, there you go. How about skid plates?
I don't know. Johnny, you got any guesses out there?
I
will say it's vehicle related, Tim. It's not a couch.
Yeah, I was originally thinking also with Dwayne on the skid plates, but then when I saw that it's about 2 feet high, I would say that'd be a very inefficient manner in which to transport skid plates because you can just stack them with thin foam in between. So, and I know you already have the bumper, so it's not the bumpers, which, you know, a front and rear bumper, that's about the spacing that would be required in regards to the packaging around to make sure that the two don't touch. So yeah, I'm currently actually stumped. I'm stumped. Do you have skid plates on the moment? I thought you already had skid plates. You have a Badlands, right?
I do have a Badlands, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't want better skid plates, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that came from Florida. That's all I can say.
Wow, wow! None of you are correct and even close. I'll say that. So we'll save this for a video that's.
So it's not a casting couch.
It's not a futon.
Okay, that's interesting, but it is vehicle related. Is it Bronco related?
I'm not going to go too deep into it because I have quite a few different vehicles in the driveway that need parts. So
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it could be Jeep stuff.
It could be. You never know.
Wouldn't it be great if someone made a modular hardtop, which kind of builds like Legos, but with bolts and nuts?
Right.
Because on these rugged vehicles, bolts and nuts would look just fine on a hardtop. I would love it if there was a hardtop. Really, it's just plastic, which isn't expensive. The big part and cost of the hardtop is transport. So that one day, that is how we should receive our hardtops for us soft top guys who, you know, made the sacrifice to get a Bronco sooner.
Hey, I've got
Johnny,
a
I think you got
comment when you're ready.
Go right.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
No, I'm sorry, Tim. You go ahead and then I'll go.
I was gonna say, you know, I think you mentioned Legos, but how cool would it be if you could make a hardtop out of Legos? I mean, they make those custom things. I think you can send them pictures and they'll make you custom Lego.
Can you imagine a small kit of Legos is like $30 anymore? I can't imagine what a hard top would be.
Well, you know, I didn't think about this. Remember when we were talking about the cost of a hardtop from Ford? Like just the shipping of it would just be incredible, right?
Right.
So apparently, someone in Virginia Broncos here, they ordered a hardtop. Now, I don't have a way of verifying this, okay, because I didn't think you could order any right now, but from the parts department ordered it and it's coming in pieces. The two front panels apparently are here. They're waiting on the back panel. And then is that the case? I guess we'll find out. And if it is, I want to do a video on it.
Well, the back panel alone must be what, 900 to 1,000 in shipping? Wow.
Oh, it would definitely be expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the physical crate size. It's not necessarily the weight. I mean, even though it does weigh quite a bit, but I mean,
Well, and
it's
the
the
glass
physical size.
The glass would definitely be shipped separately because
You would think so.
that's why they didn't ship any of the replacement tops with glass because it was going to get damaged. But so somebody's guessed whiskey. That would be a lot of whiskey, and that would make Dave really happy. Rock sliders was a guess. An IKEA hard top, a blow up top. Yeah.
Slide out bed liner.
Slide out
But,
tailgate.
yeah, the slide out
Tailgate,
tailgate would take about that much space.
Yeah, but would it be that tall though? I don't think it'd be that tall because, well, I don't know how they package it.
Well, if it's like
it's on a pallet, so it's got to be.
The box is pretty big.
Well, it's on a pallet, so it was definitely over.
What
50
about the
pounds.
cargo baskets that go into the hitch? You have the hitch, right, Dave?
I do have a hitch.
Yeah,
I was one of the lucky ones.
No, that's a slide out. I got both my Broncos had hitches as well. So despite Ford saying don't touch the hitch, I think really they just didn't want to say it's all Webasto's fault and get sued.
Johnny could have probably sold his hitch off his Bronco and made more on that than probably selling the Bronco.
$10,000.
Somebody would have bid for it.
American, $10,000 American.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, we'll see what it is, right? Video dropping this week? Next week?
No, it would be next week, but
Okay.
it just came in yesterday, so I was very excited to see that show up.
Cole says advanced fiberglass sends boxes like that. You know what else I think it came in a box like that? If
so
I
cool.
saw it was maybe something from Best Top.
Never know, guys. I like where the thought was, but
Tim, I like your ideas. All of that would be really cool in a Bronco. The fenders, either the hood or the best stop would be all very cool looking.
It could be a fold up stripper pole too. You never know.
Well, that's true. Dwayne Da Vinci is asking if anyone's done a video on when the active shutters open and close at certain temperatures. So that might be a video idea for you.
Actually, Gavin and I started one. We had too much background noise, so we quit. So now that I've got better mic system, but that's a great point. When they open and close, and there's two active shutters. There's the in front of the radiator, in front of the intercooler.
Right.
So thank you for mentioning that. I will finish or recreate what we started, and I think it's more relevant in the heat. When you crank a Bronco when it's ambient. And I think that'll be a good video. So I will do that. Watch for it.
One of my very good friends is the overall general manager of a body shop, which is owned by several dealers in the area. I think it's like 4 or 5 dealers. But anyways, what I could get back to you, Dwayne, is the cost of replacing that active shutter. Because that one to what is it, like 1 or 2% better fuel efficiency, because you close them to create better aerodynamics when you're on the highway, and you open them when you need to cool off. But that technology is super expensive to replace in the case of a vehicle that gets accidented. So I can't remember who on the show here was saying it, but vehicles are getting overly complicated to save, a half or a quarter of a percent, or when you're really lucky, 1 or 2% in fuel economy because of the CAFE rules. Manufacturers are doing some very costly and expensive changes to their vehicles to make them pass these new regulations.
And speaking of active shutters, do you know the Ford Mondeo or Mondeo? It's the world car. That's being sold over, I think it's in Japan right now. The active louvers on that are actually the grill. So the grill changes. Yeah. Wow. Oh yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that America is its own world. Cause you have the world car, the Mondeo, and it's not offered in America or Canada. So clearly we're our own, we're our own globe and planet together. So back to Dave's point, we do really, someone on my channel earlier had been criticizing, saying that, everything should be made in the United States. And I said, no way, yes, in an ideal world, but that's not the way it can work these days. You have to pick who your partners are going to be. And you're either partnering with China
or you're somehow ineffectively partnering with Europe because everything is ridiculously expensive out there, or you send labor to Mexico and you have the design and the marketing done in the States, and you get, minerals from Canada. You got to pick who you want to partner up and be friends with. You got to pick your dance partners because you can't dance with everyone.
Yeah, and Dave, the other to get back on that before we go, you said videos coming up. There's one with the new Mustang coming up. Now it's going to be a 2024 built in 23. There is something really cool about let's say the dash in that. And that is something that's going to be cool. And if you look at that world car, that Mondeo, there's something from that I think is coming over to the new Mustang, and it's going to be very interesting. So that video will be dropping probably next week.
Well, I know fully integrated Apple CarPlay.
Yep, I was going to say Apple CarPlay. There's big tech push for that right now. So.
Put it this way: there's a little, and it's incidentally, I just sold my Fox Body Mustang, which I regret. Which I'm now
already.
Look, one day I've already made it my life mission. I'll own the car again. Okay, it'll be the second book of this, I guess. But
there you go, driven
driven again. No, I don't know, but
rebuilt title.
But seriously, yeah, rebuilt. But seriously, I think there's a lot of the climate control in that. I say climate control. Let's just say vents, not to get too fancy with it. I think you're going to see a similar look of the old Fox Body ventilation in the new Mustang. I think they're bringing that back. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be cool.
Well, there's been enough of the test mules being spotted now, so.
Oh yeah, and the sound's cool.
The new Mustang, I'm wondering if it'll finally integrate what Ford has been working on with Google. Because if we recall, I'm pretty sure it was Google from memory. It was either 2020 or 2021, February 2020 or 2021, it was revealed that Ford was partnering with Google. So I'm still waiting for my vehicle, and I know this is going to happen at Ford for sure. I'm sure that you're going to be using Google's navigation, and it's going to say, hey, that restaurant or that breakfast place you normally regularly stop at, by the way, there's a special going on your regular coffee, and your vehicle is going to be enticing you to, earlier you're talking about that word for oil that gets too hot, but our brains are all horribly addicted to sugar, and now our cars are going to be reminding us to go get our Starbucks coffee or whatnot, or our McDonald's coffee, or whatever brand you normally stop at. Your vehicle will very kindly remind you of the rebate that's on this morning.
Or you just say, hey Google, take me to this, and then the car takes you there. Cool. I know Nissan's been working for a long time on swipeable, the Apple CarPlay Dash that they show. Nissan's been working on that for a long time, as far as you can swipe things out of your way that you don't want there. If you want things, it's going to be very user friendly of what you get to see, not just limited to the 5 choices they give you. They're going to, our phones are going to integrate definitely, we're definitely little androids anymore, even though we're not actually physically connected to that phone, but our phone is going to be our communications for just our everything. So you take it when you're in the car, it adapts to you quickly. Instead of having those little memory positions on the car seats, you're just, when you get in there and it knows you're in the driver's seat, it's just going to put you where it wants you.
It's interesting about that dash and anything like that high tech. There's still this need for climate control to be analog or the old school, where you can turn it.
Well, some of that
press buttons and swipe.
They messed with a lot of companies like Mercedes and stuff. Were all doing that through buttons, but they found that people were getting in accidents and stuff because they would focus on, because you got to be so precise when you're touching a dial. Right. You can just, like a blind person, you can just touch it and know what you're doing. Yep. So, but no, I think one day you will go, hey Google, turn up the heat, just like you would at home or whatever. Now.
And it's not a bad thing. If you think about it, I sounded like I was anti-tech here, but
what's the red shirt?
Getting to your local restaurant, fast food place. I think it's gonna be nice if my vehicle asks me in advance, do you want your coffee with 2 sugars this morning? Johnny, as per usual. And by the way, I got you $1 off your coffee because of this rebate. And it's, instead of getting to the line where I order my coffee and not being able to understand the person through that horrible little intercom, it's -30. So, I have to roll down my window, freeze off. No, I'm just going to drive up, open my window, grab my coffee, and my phone through my vehicle have already paid for that coffee that I ordered in advance. Will eliminate lines at, the McDonald's and the Starbucks and all. Dunkin' Donuts and all.
I
these
think your
places.
car will just make the coffee for you as you're driving. You just pay for that app, and suddenly it just pops up out of the dash, and you're good to go.
We might
Johnny,
be a ways away from that.
You got a good point. And there's, I think there's room there with CarPlay in a lot of these apps. McDonald's has got the app now, or you can order your food when you get there. Hey, I'm in slot number 2, and they bring it out to you. I could see a lot of that being integrated into the vehicle, maybe with some geo services. So you don't even have to go there. You just pull into the parking lot. It's linked up. It knows you're there in slot number 2, and they just bring your coffee out to you. I mean, I can see that.
What if our car goes by ourselves? We have too many beers, and the vehicle goes and picks us up our McDonald's or whatever it may be, all on its own, and comes back with, forget DoorDash. Maybe our ownership, the privilege of ownership, will be that you don't. We're talking about taxis, kind of like vehicles being sold as taxis in the future, and you kind of rent them for these very temporary periods of when you need them. Mm. But the true privilege of ownership might be that you kind of have a vehicle that acts as 3 or 4 employees, where you just say, I've had 5 beers, sorry, I won't sound like an alky here. I've had 2 beers, go pick me up a burger. And just like Alexa, she won't listen to you if you're polite. So you actually have to be really rude and kind of yell at her for her to listen. So you're like, yo, car, get me get me my beer at the corner store and bring me back a burger, and it'll happen.
Hey, speaking of Alexa, can I tell you something interesting? When you have a daughter named Alexa in a house with 2 Alexas, this is screwed up. It seriously is. It's like, Alexa, what? No, I'm not talking to you. You the digital one, stop. I'm talking
Dwayne,
to my
you
daughter.
can change the name on the Alexa.
I know you can, and we're just too lazy.
Oh,
I wish they'd allow you to do more, because I have some creative names for my Alexa that apparently it doesn't respond to. So,
she doesn't like being called succubus.
None of that. Yeah,
mine would be asshole.
So, I mentioned something to Dave last night, and thinking about those electronic dashes. I know Dave has mentioned that he finds that the analog speedometer on the Bronco to be kind of like, why is it there? Everything else is digital and it's cool, and then there's this analog thing. Well, I tell you what, I did when I had the tops off. I was driving with the sun at my back, glare on and I couldn't even see my display. The only thing that I could see was the analog speedometer. So I do see some use cases on why that is still there.
And I did the whole trip from Florida counting on my fingers and making like faces, because when I think, my face still moves. So Marie actually was like, she asked me at one point, are you having seizures? She asked me at another point, like, are you okay? Are you mentally well? Anyways, she was really worried about me. And then she got into the whole I was like, well, if you help me, I'll look less stupid. So she started doing all the calculations, and I fed her the data. I love data. But anywho, it's only when I got back, it was about 2 weeks later, getting back from Canada. The whole time I was wondering, well, how much is that in kilometers per hour? How much is that in liters per 100 kilometers? Because I'd switched my whole system to miles per gallon and miles per hour, and she's doing the calculations to convert so that we can both understand your language. Beautiful language, very, beautiful language. But anyways, I got back to Canada, and after 2 weeks, I was like, oh, my Bronco has analog and it's in kilometers. And this was like the day I was losing my Bronco for the Mustang. And I was like, wow, I wish I would have known this. So yeah, Tim, you're right. There is a good use for that analog, not just for sun, but if, you're a mixed up Canadian trying to figure out what speed to not, go over in the States, it's nice having the 2 systems.
Hey, Tim and Dave and everyone watching, if you haven't picked up on it yet, when you hang out with Johnny, like in person, you laugh 90% of the time. like coolest dude in the world. I mean, I think I mentioned you, Dave. I was like, yeah, man, Johnny, he's as cool as he is on YouTube.
That's
keep
not
it up,
what
Johnny,
you said.
man.
You said that was the worst guy I've ever been around.
That is not what I said. Didn't I tell you? I said he's a real in person.
Silly Canadian with his pampered poodle.
Right, Johnny.
No,
I'm still do not cool, have man. The picture back here, buddy. The signed autograph picture.
But I tried to convince Johnny to do that. I mean, you were saying this complexity and some photograph might be folded. I mean, come on.
I have Dwayne's book now. Bronco Santa over there hasn't given me anything either.
It's the real deal. You're being honest with me. I thought it was like
totally honest. I have a Australian back here for no apparent reason other than I like his YouTube channel. Like, so I need a Johnny with the. You know what? You and the poodle. You holding the poodle and go to Sears or whoever does those like those old family photo you used to get you and the poodle, and just looking, that kind of horrible pose. That
you got to be feeding him though, right? Because it's for feeding a poodle.
Well, caviar, of course.
Yeah, caviar.
The photo I will not send, which was comical though. Speaking of beaches, I was in another country on a beach, and it was a resort. So the service
glamour
was incredible.
Shot somebody said.
And I kept getting these comments like right away. People within 2 sentences would be like, "Oh, you must be Canadian." So after like 1 or 2 days of being assumed as a Canadian, I was like, it's just, I'm just gonna feed into the joke. So in Canada, when I had left here, it was about minus 35 Celsius, so many Fahrenheits, and actually, sorry, below zero. It's actually kind of weird and different. It's actually not the case. But anywho, to just prove that I was Canadian, I spent about 2 days to the of my partner with a big real fur hat, pounding back beers in a bathing suit. And as often as possible, I would just stand in front of the ocean with my arms crossed and my beers underneath my armpits to only occasionally take a sip, and 2 beers all day long, just so that when people would go, "Oh, you must be Canadian," I'd be like, "Oh, how did you guess?"
I thought it was the Speedo with the Canadian flag on it.
Oh my God.
We outlawed those in 1988, by the way.
And most of the world.
Russia that still does those Speedos.
I lived in Florida in the mid 90s, and there was a lot of Canadians that would come down there that were not fit people wearing Speedos, and I could never understand
because why. It was illegal in 1988. Where it's like, when it's illegal, you want to do it. Now that a certain herb is legal in Canada, no one's smoking it. They're like, "Oh, that's boring. It's legal. I guess I'll just go back to drinking beer
in my Speedo."
Yeah, secretly, because
living on the edge.
You got to do that in your basement.
That's funny. Well, guys, it's been fun tonight. Somehow, like 30 minutes ago, I was trying to end this, but when I get you guys all together, it's hard to end these shows. So, guys, go over to everybody's channel. Go to Bronco Wild Outdoor if you haven't yet. Go check out Dwayne's channel. Tim with Overlanding for Fun is just asking for another 200 subs to get him to his community area where he can have his little page over there. Johnny, we beg for subs from you because you are the man here now, and so we bow down to you, John. And
well, you're my allegiance. You created me.
We throw our allegiance to Johnny's Car Care and Review, and if he says it, it's true. So there you go, guys. Tonight we will see. I've got a video dropping. I think tomorrow is Bronco versus Jeep. I did a comparison on taking the doors off of each, and it's quite unique of how each one approaches taking the doors off. And I may have found that I love one over the other, so we'll leave it at that. So that's tomorrow around noon, I think. So be on the lookout for that.
Is that noon Eastern, noon Central, noon?
I'm not going to tell you, Tim.
Or noon Canadian.
It'll probably be Canadian.
So what? Hit the bell icon.
That's right. So whether it be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or these crazy Canadians and Americans that I like to hang out with from time to time, this has been your All Terrain Nation, and I'm your host David Boyd, alongside co-host Tim with Overlanding for Fun. And what are we, Tim?
We are out.
Peace, everybody. See y'all next time.